What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again, episode 85, off of a quick break once again. A little unexpected. I was on vacation last week. I was ready to do it, but we ran into an issue with the guest, and it's all good. We took the break, and now we're back. So, what's going on, everybody? Love being back. I was expecting I was expecting it to be something that I hadn't done in a while, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Can I do it again? But here I am, dude. I'm just talking into a microphone here with my resident homies, as always, Joel and Casey. The professor Joseph will be with us later on. He can't get on until around 8:30, so you'll see him pop in then soon. And today we're joined by a very special guest, somebody that I've been a fan of for several years, and I love everything he's about. You may know him from the bands Cleric, John Frum, Simulacrum, iNFiNiEN, which is actually a project that I didn't know about until this week, and I'm so glad that Matt brought it to my attention. But yes, we're here with Matt Hollenberg. What's going on, Matt?
What's up? Good to be here. Glad to hang with you.
Thank you so much, dude.
Yeah.
And it is a real pleasure. Like I said, dude, you've been on my radar for several years now, and you and I had a quick back and forth during the pandemic. We'll probably talk about that more because there's some subjects that we were talking about that will come up in your timeline. And but yeah, dude, thank you so much. Being on the East Coast, asking people to come on at 10 o'clock at night, it's like, you feel kind of shit, but at the same time, dude, I need to have that Matt Hollenberg episode.
Oh yeah, no problem. Well, that's right in line with my circadian rhythms, so there's no
perfect, yeah,
at all. It's the middle of the afternoon for me, so
that's another thing too. Is like with gigging musicians, like this is nothing at this time.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Loading out at 2 a.m. minimum, you're used to it, dude.
Right, red eye flights. 8x10 cabs up 3 floors of stairs.
Oh man.
Yep. Well, cool, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. I've said it probably 17 times already in this intro, but before we move on, plug away, dude. You got any places you want people to go to check your, get your information, or merch for bands that you want plugged?
Well, you check out the Cleric Bandcamp, the iNFiNiEN Bandcamp, and the John Frum Bandcamp. That's all the most recent stuff. I did a trio record. I've gotten a little more into instrumental music the last few years, so I made a couple instrumental records that are like really improvisation based. Is a kind of blending of the worlds of extreme metal and modern improv. The one project's called Shardik, and so there's a Facebook page for that. You can find that on Sadiq Records. It's on Amazon. It's also streaming on Boomcat, which is kind of a random site, but does stream there. And then there's this new band that it was actually the first record I mixed and produced myself. Recorded the whole thing in my friend's basement with like Behringer headphone mixers and just really raw process. Took my year banging my head against the wall to get it sorted out, but it's called Saratma. The record's called Escape Velocity, and that's coming out on Nefarious Industries in August on a vinyl.
Killer.
So that's something I'm proud of, because I take the DIY thing like extremely seriously. I feel like the less people in a group that's trying to do something together, the better in a way. And so I try to do a lot of parts of the process myself. I was really inspired by Secret Chiefs 3. Not just the music, but just the fact that Trey did all of that on Digital Performer with a laptop, and just like one of the best, Book of Horizons is one of my favorite records ever. And the fact that he did that on a Digital Performer in the late space, it is insane. And so to me, like, the DIY thing is about force of will. So, that's my main thing. And wherever that takes me, it takes me to work around with lots of different people. The other thing that I take really seriously is I don't really like the remote approach that a lot of bands are taking right now, where no one has to be in the room together. No one has to talk about anything. it's almost like Tinder for bands. You know, it's just like, it's just like there's totally dissociated. I've tried to do that during the quarantine and it went fucking nowhere. Like no, and so all these modern things of like quantize everything, compress the bass drum in the same way, everyone plays the same rhythm, there's no improv, the tempo doesn't move regardless of what part is happening. I'm like way not feeling any of that. Like that's just completely opposed to what I'm doing. I want the records I'm making to feel live, like, so maybe even a little rough. Like I might not even edit the guitar to the bass drum sometimes because I want it to sound like a mistake. You know, getting with Zorn and now you got me ranting. So
yeah. Before you, I love it all, dude. And believe me, we have plenty of time for this. As long as you're ready to give it all to us, dude, we'll be sitting here listening.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
before you go on, let me just do our plugs real quick. So,
yeah, sure.
Obviously, CaliDeathPodcast.BigCartel.com if you want to go check out our merch. All we got is a t-shirt up there, but they're getting low, guys. They're getting real low. So if you don't have one yet and you want one, get on there and see if we still have your size available and help us out, dude. Support. And then also back again, Battle Forged Coffee, guys. Got myself a new mug.
Oh, nice.
What up? Let's represent. Yeah, dude. This is I don't know if you're familiar with the Cali death scene, but Deeds of Flesh is a band that has been like the pioneers of our scene since '93. They started this company together.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, they're doing great, dude. And yeah, I'm really happy that I got this mug. I'm sipping on some Battle Forged coffee right now. And then after this cup's done, I'm getting into the Topo Chicos, guys.
Nice.
But yeah, all right. So that's all we need to plug, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. So, all right, Matt, how we usually do it on the show, though, is we want everything you can possibly give us, dude. So take us back to the earliest time in your life where music became something more than just background music. I say it like that every time because that's the best way to describe it. Like, I know when I listened to Otis Redding, something happened in me when I was young. My dad's jamming that, and it was a click that happened. So I'd like to hear your earliest click.
I think it was maybe like it was like 6 years old. And my dad's close friend died of cancer, and we were at the funeral. Other friends started playing this piano piece by Albani's called Astorius. It's a real famous one. You might even recognize it, but I never heard anything like it. It kind of had that Spanish Phrygian thing going on, really hypnotic. So my first experience of like deep feeling with listening was very trance oriented and like hypnotic. And I think the hypnosis that came from that, how it sort of seemed to transcend the present moment, like sort of trans-temporal kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
it kind of just got possessed by that. And I went home and figured it out on our piano and just was like playing it like a freak, like a possessed freak. And, you know,
so
kind of went there, like I started out with piano.
That's what I was gonna say. Were you playing were you already into piano before you heard that?
No, I wasn't into anything.
Wow.
I was in Transformers. But yeah, and then I just think that feeling of the trance that I'd never experienced before then, it was just like it just tickled me in the deepest way, you know.
Right.
So I was maniacal about figuring that piece out specifically. But then, you know, I went for maybe 5 years with classical piano and I did a couple pieces really well. But something about it never really clicked. And then I remember honestly hearing like Stone Temple Pilots, Purple and like
oh yeah,
and I was 9 and there was no internet. So it's not like I never heard that like sludgy, distorted guitar with drums. And I just thought it was like the greatest thing in the world. And so I remember staying home from school one day and figuring out, like I ended up getting a guitar, and I figured out about tab, and I started looking online and figuring out all these songs. I really liked Deftones at the time, Metallica, Megadeth, like normal stuff kids like.
Right.
But then I realized I could play along with the record and play along with the drummer. And once I played along with the drummer, that was kind of game over, because I actually wanted to play drums first, but my parents were just like, absolutely not. Like,
yeah, that's a hard one to
they are the cool parents, right? Like so then I was like, okay, well, I'll play metal guitar. It's probably louder. It's funny. But I think that was why I gravitated so much towards a band, not like guitar specifically. I think once I heard like a band lock, like a guitar and drummer together as a force, there's something about that I just always thought was the coolest thing ever. It just was always so viscerally satisfying to me. And, you know, I went through a lot, like kind of standard progression as a kid of just the metal bands that everyone listened to at the time. And then later in high school, got into more progressive stuff. I didn't really get into avant-garde till like my 20s, and then I got into like world music and soundtrack stuff.
So like, what was the stuff that was driving you as a adolescence? You know, what was the stuff that got your blood flowing?
Album. I mean, I'm like in 7th grade.
Yeah. I mean, so what, like Adrenaline?
Yeah, I think Bored or Root was maybe the first riff I ever played, or maybe Around the Fur was probably the first riff I ever played. And once I had a fuzz face through a horrible Squier 8-inch speaker, 10 watt. You know, I mean, I feel like we all went through with like a hard guitar that wouldn't stay in tune, and just playing the main riff with the drummer tight once. I was like, there's nothing better than this. Like, I literally stopped playing video games. I was like playing Final Fantasy all the time. It was just like nothing at that point. It was just guitar 24/7 for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think just something about the drummer and like distorted guitar. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is, but just as a kid, there's just nothing more exciting than that when you first experience that. I don't know why that is.
I'm sure it's just like the cocktail of hormones and shit as a young teenage boy, you know, and how we don't know how to blow off that steam, and that combo of distorted guitars and aggressive drums, it pulls it out of you without even you really you know, putting in that much effort. It's the music that's actually, you know, sucking it out of you, and you're like, oh dude, I feel much better after that song. Let's go again.
It's actually really what it is. It's like a physical release, and I don't think I didn't experience music like that even when I was sitting in that funeral. It was like a trance, and that got to me because it was almost like my first taste of psychedelic.
Right.
Hinting like, it's like, oh, look over there. It's like, and I'm like, oh, that even exists. So it's like this eureka moment. But you're right. Like the thing with the drums and the guitar, it's like a physical catharsis that at the time I was not having a good time in school. Like I was, you know, they were trying to do the 14-hour day thing for me. I was ADHD, like really bad. Like, so they're medicating me. They're like, I'm very alienated. I'm like, you know, I'm just not feeling physically well. So something about that, like exactly right. But it's just, you know, just hearing that one, I think it was like Superman, Super Gun. I don't even remember what the song is. It's just this really simple minor third riff, like down in C sharp on Purple. And I'm just like, it feels so much better in like 3 seconds. Explain that. I really can't explain that. But you know, I mean, fast forward 20 years, and I'm playing a stupid drop D riff for Zorn, and he's like a little kid. There's something just visceral about volume, you know, and like power of volume. Like it fills the middle of your body, you know. Catharsis, like you said, it's literally physical.
Right.
Yeah.
So so that's happening in high school. It was the Deftones and STP and all that.
Right. And then like the last 2 years, it's like Tool, and then Fear Factory until Meshuggah came around, and then that's that pretty much. Like even
mix
yes,
them
I
both.
was watching some '90s videos, and I'm just in awe of them. Like I don't care that they became popular, or I don't like Gent. I actually don't really like Periphery, or I don't like most of the bands that are copying them, honestly, because they don't.
I would say that you can't really call him a sugar gent because
No,
that
I'm
term
annoyed when people call them that. But oh my god,
came out of the wake.
to hear Destroy, Erase, Improve. I remember my friend was interning at Nuclear Blast because the office was in Philly, and to hear that at like age 16, when like For Whom the Bell Tolls, and you know what I mean, like your frame of reference, it's just so fucking crazy to me. Like that was just shocking, And then Chaosphere was even more. I was even angrier at 19. You know what I mean? So like these certain records just like are linchpins, like Chaosphere, Jane Doe at the time. People now say that's cheesy, but at that time, there was nothing that relieved tension like that for me, or like Through Silver and Blood. You know what I mean? Like all these fucked up violent feelings. I mean, what was happening at age 19? It was like in the middle of the Bush administration. It was like a couple years after the Iraq war. Things were just miserable. And I was so angry. And like those, not like things are even that much better now, but those records, like they really just relieved that shit physically. And I think I've always searched for that in the music I create. And that's why I never stop, liking that approach of aggressive drums and just hyper distorted guitar, even if the styles get morphed and weirder. Like I really like that visceral core, because there's something about that volume and slamming a rhythm together. It just feels great physically. I don't have to think about it. So
around that time too, that was like you said, Chaos, Fear Factor. My brother gave me 3 CDs at once. He gave me I want to say Demanufacture, Calculating Infinity, and Chaos Fear. He gave me all those at once.
Wow.
He was all, check this shit out, because I was like still in my, because I had to go through the new metal Korn stuff and all I went through all that. So that was like kind of my way out was kind of Sepultura, and then it was like Pantera, and I'm like then he's all, well, check this shit out. This is the next level stuff. And I remember hearing Calculating Infinity and just being like, what the fuck is going? Like my brain was.
Oh yeah, dude, that.
Yeah.
Your brother knew, dude. He knew he had to feed it to you in doses.
Yeah, it was like 99, 2000, something like that.
There was something about those records, like the Calculating Infinity, Jane Doe, Chaos Fear, the Times of Grace, Through Silver and Blood. It was like pitch perfect for the time, and until like 2006, it just tickled this nerve like perfectly. It's like my version of classic rock or something. I'm not even trying to copy that anymore, but like there's no better like rock anchor to me than that little period, even though that's super like millennial. It's not even Gen X anymore, because I mean before that it's the grunge thing, but to me like that's like the millennial soul in those few years where like you think about how many people are copying that shit like 15 years, until everyone's like, all right, it's now so trendy that you can't even play them a sugar part, every part like that.
Not everybody's saying
right. But I adore those records because it's why I like violent rock music.
And you experienced them in real time too. Like it doesn't matter what it is now, because we're talking about what it was to you then, and obviously it's important enough to still be, something that you're speaking about today.
Right. Botch was the other one. We Are the Romans.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable. And it's still today. It's just like that's never going to get old to me. It's just shocking, So I don't know, but like by 2007, everyone has like there's like 10,000 bands, each following each one of those bands, and I'm like, this is now Jinko jeans. Like, what's that now?
I wore Jinkos, dude.
Yeah, and so like I was just like, I can't just follow this. I don't even have a tattoo. First of all, I don't have any piercings.
Yeah, me either.
I'm not even like pushing a lifestyle, so I kind of got a little annoyed because I felt like the decibel thing, like, it became a little LARPy to me, and it started to piss me off because I didn't feel the real records were LARPy at all. I felt like they were really genuine.
I fucking love that you said LARPy, by the way. I've never heard somebody say that, and I definitely want to use that now. You're being hella LARPy, dude. Stop dressing up and going out into fucking fields.
I mean, the starter kit meme is really instructive because it is that easy nowadays. It's like, okay, cool, I'll get a heavy metal too. I'll get a, this PV amp. I'll find that from the PV Cult group. I have the starter kit. and I'll make sure I have all the cult bands on my vet. I mean, it's laid out for you. So I'm just not impressed with the subculture aspect of it at all. What attracted to me was the music and the visceral intensity
and the feelings it gave you. Yeah.
Even if it's angular and dissonant and angry, I thought it was all soulful. Those records we just mentioned, that was soulful to me. That wasn't like just angry, angular, heady shit. That's like really soulful music to me, and like imaginative and distinct and full level. Like, so the LARPy thing just kind of killed it, because it's like everyone's doing this now. It's cool. It's like everyone looks the same at shows. Everyone's wearing the same. I like, that bass player Mono Neon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, he's this great R&B like avant-garde soul person. He played with Prince. He plays with Thundercat. He comes around a lot, but he has this really cool style. He just wears like hyper violet neon, just like bright. Yeah. And I kind of wanted to start going to Vitus and just being completely irreverent with the fucking LARPy subculture shit. It's like everyone's got a leather jacket and black jeans in the vest. Like, just go all like neon yellow, like entirely yellow, just bright. You know what I mean? I don't know. I also, like, the LARPy shit, I got dead ended with it, and by 2008, I'm like, I want to take that shit, but like bridge it with something else. Like, it's not enough on its own, and that's when I started getting the mimicry vibe. Like, honestly, like the whole mimicry thing changed my whole vibe. Because
so real quick before you get into that, I just want to know, like, during high school, did you jam? We like to hear about high school bands and stuff too. Was there anything that was pretty cool that you were doing in high school?
I mean, Cleric started when I was 17, but it was a new metal band called Third Rail with 2 guitars.
What was it called again?
Third Rail.
Third Rail. Oh, dude, wait, that's so funny, because there was a group at my school that all the like preppy kids, we would call them the Third Rail, because they would always hang out on the third rail in the courtyard, dude.
We were like reaching new realms of banal uncreativity. It was amazing. But yeah, I mean, it was like a lot of bullshit, like your first band and like doing stupid shit that's embarrassing. Until you don't do that, and you see some real people do it. Now I gotta mention Colin Marston at this point, because I went to elementary school with him, and he was a grade above me, so I knew him from when I was in kindergarten.
From Behold, the Octopus?
Yeah. Okay. So he used to do war guitar recitals.
Love that shit, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. And in middle school, like someone would play like classical piano, and he'd come up and rip like Crimson Holdsworth shit on the war guitars.
Fuck yeah. That guy's so sick, right? Dude. Oh, he's so cool.
Like at age 19, like we hadn't like first time the Regressions record that Cleric did, that was the first time we really worked together. But I'm just looking at him like he's an alien, and I'm just in kind of in awe of, like, because as far as I can tell, he's out of everyone I knew personally, he was doing music the way I wanted to do it the most. So I feel like he kind of showed me, him and the Mimicry crew together, kind of at the same time, helped me figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to bridge together. He was setting an incredible example for everyone about how to take it into the future, because I didn't want to just like make a band that was copying that period of music we were talking about, because I felt like everyone was doing, and I didn't really feel like there was any point in doing that. So I thought like someone that was actually going a step farther. The other thing about the Mimicry group of people, Stratosphere, Sleepy Time, Idiot Flesh, Secret Chiefs, is, it's music centric. Like, so many bands are like, look how I look. It's crazy. Look at you can't even imagine how I live, bro. It's fucking crazy. And it's like, yeah, it's not doing it for me. It's like your song sucks, and I can't even get a minute and a half in. So like set the precedent with the music.
But then you got somebody, then you got the guys like Sleepy Time, Idiot, that came out of Idiot Flesh.
Oh yeah,
they have the image and the music,
right? But their image isn't like starter kit meme. It's like their image. It's like they literally drove around in like the mid 2000s.
They're like Victorian corpses standing on stage.
It said visualize industrial collapse on their fucking bus. Like, it's like driving around the South, like, oh my God, this is the real shit. Yeah, like, this is not LARPy. This is like They literally quoted the Ted Kaczynski fucking manifesto in the one record. It's just like the theme of the record.
Please, anybody who hasn't checked them out, please. Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. Not only is every album fucking just a jam-packed fucking plethora of awesomeness, but their backstories and their fibs and flubs that they add into their backstories and stuff. There's like mysteries that have to do with their backstory. Like, is this character real or not? Because you Google that name and you're like, wait, that guy actually is a mathematician. You're like, wait,
oh yeah, all that shit is real.
So it's based on like that the Dada shit, basically.
It is. Yeah, well, that's kind of right. Sorry, it makes
no. And I was just saying, basically, like the image plus the whole like actual musicianship of that band. They make some of the guys make their own instruments.
Totally.
Dude, it's just out there. I love that we're talking about this band, but I wanted to say real quick, I know we're moving forward, but iNFiNiEN should have been The End Records or Mimicry. Did you guys do anything with either one of those record labels?
No, and The End isn't a thing anymore, right?
I know it's not anymore.
No,
but when it came,
we formed like too late. I think I feel like we didn't really get our shit together to like 2015 or 16 around then.
But you guys had albums out before then.
Yeah, no. We had the self-title is good, but I don't think it's as together as.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. I'm jumping forward.
Hard to do that by mainly like Secret Chiefs and some of the stuff coming out on Sadiq Records, just to make like a jazzier, like hyper clean guitar kind of style, like ethereal, more like a underwater kind of element, as opposed to Cleric is like, lava. Like try to think like Elemental,
dude.
The bands, just to kind of separate them with the sonic stuff. So I use a Strat and iNFiNiEN, right? It's like use a 7-string Iceman and Cleric with an Invader. Like, so it's like there's no way those things are
yeah.
And like there's people with iNFiNiEN who like iNFiNiEN, they're like, Cleric is just like I can't, it's too much. And then people who like Cleric are like, iNFiNiEN's cool, and they're like not as into it. It's like, that's just the game I'm playing. I'm trying to do 360.
I'm the one who's in between because I love it all.
Dude. That's great. That's my favorite type of music fan. If you love it all, that's great.
I literally do. I can put on a Cleric record and then follow it up with iNFiNiEN and be perfectly happy with what I just did.
Cool. Hell yeah.
But we're getting too far ahead. I want to know this Cleric, because it started as Third Rail. Did you guys do any demos as Third Rail?
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but we're never.
I'm an owner of the EP too. I'm an owner of the first EP.
That's fine. But you understand that took like a while to even get it to that point. But you know what happened with that EP is it got erased, and before we could mix it, the hard drive it was on died. We only mixed one of those songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just had to put it out the way that it was.
Cleric saga is a lot of like disasters like that, like robberies, hard drives, many vans dying, tours collapsing. It's a lot of bullshit for like 12 years before the cool stuff happens.
Wow, dude. I mean, that's discipline. And it was how were you guys all sticking together throughout that, or did people fall out throughout the time?
I mean, I don't want to get into personal stuff, but
no, it's all good. We don't need to do that.
The robberies totally fucked us up for maybe 2 or 3 years.
So like broke into the van, stole all your shit.
All our shit. Sounds weren't backed up. Keyboard stolen. All the sounds are stolen. Like you get the keyboard again, you didn't save the sounds. So
you gotta redo everything.
That part makes me so angry, dude, because it's the underground musicians that always get fucked,
Dude, yeah, for sure.
Well, we were stupid kids. It was a really stupid thing. We left shit in the van overnight in North Philly because we were too lazy. We deserved it. I mean, not like, none of us deserve it, but like that was a real learning moment of like, you're a idiot. You know what I mean? Like I didn't totally lost my respect for myself at that point. But that totally screwed us up. And then our practice spot, like 6 months later, this is actually super fucked up. I don't mind telling you guys this is what happened. So van broken into, everything stolen, keyboard not stolen, miraculously ridiculously because it was hidden between these seats and they didn't see it. So then we go to our studio. Someone breaks into the studio. It's like, that's the vibe before 2012, basically. It's just like, like a ton, like so many times, to the point where it's almost like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, but then we met all our heroes and they're like, we're putting you on. And then I'm like in New York and then I'm working with all my heroes. And then it's like, okay, well, you know, maybe it's the universe testing your resolve, right? Like, it's like, how much do you really want this? Like, do you really? I'm not going to just give it to you. Like,
that's the attitude you should have, dude.
Yeah. So
I mean, really, if you think about like your output and how you work as a musician, like it shows that even those, you know, giant speed bumps that were happening, you still overcame it and continued and moved forward and adapted, you know?
Right. It's that stuff is formative. I mean, it's a cliche, you know, almost like a boomer cliche, Bill's character. Like, no, it's true. I mean, if you go out on tour and get fucking wrecked and the band dies and you still figure it out, and you just like warrior shit for 3 weeks and you lived on the road and you somehow you broke even and moved farther with your band, it's like, man, you come back, like you can deal with stress. I mean, like you're a harder, you know, straight up. I mean, I did romanticize this kind of lifestyle in my youth because I remember listening to Motorhead as a teenager and just to the lyrics about the road and stuff. I definitely like made me kind of romantic about it. I mean, it's not glamorous at all. There's something romantic about that. It's not like Motley Crue. Like people think that are out of their fucking minds. Like
95% of it is done just so you could spend the 5% on stage.
Yeah, basically it's like 14-hour days. You know, when we do it, we don't have any help. So we're driving, we're doing with merch, we're booking a hotel room, we're playing the show, we're doing both loadouts. And it's like hardcore if you do that.
Yeah, dude.
3.5 fucking weeks, like 5 to 8 hour drives.
Yep.
You know, it is like easily 14, 18-hour days, easily.
And it's just for that time on stage because we get such a high from the performance side of it that it's like all this, it has to be worth it because I need to get onto that next stage.
Right. And then it gets into like, why do you need to do this so bad? And that's like a weird question because it is not, most people would be like, what is wrong with you? And I understand that, but I can't really answer that.
Yeah. And that is somewhere where you'd have to dig into yourself much deeper to really figure that out, because I think that most of us can't really answer that question other than there's a feeling that happens that we can't really translate into English. And that's why it doesn't come up or you can't really say it in conversation, you know?
Right. It's a physical experience of catharsis. And like, if you feel understood, that's a deep feeling of catharsis.
Oh yes, definitely, dude. The connection,
right.
The connection with your audience too. That's another thing where you're not just up there for yourself. You're starting to feel the other people in the room get on the same page. And yeah, it's this whole wild ride. It's a drug that nobody can sell you on the streets.
Yeah, and I don't even like calling it a drug because I feel like that's reducing it down to what like more like upper class people, bougie people think about.
Let me get an 8 ball of stage juice, please.
Right. And it is more pure than a drug because it's a natural high, and it's there's no moral component to it. I remember one time I was practicing at my parents' house, and I was like, I wasn't even playing loud, but I just had like a full-on gain sound, and like my mom's friend came in and she was like listening to me playing. She's like, "Oh, it's so loud! Oh my god!" Like she was like offended at the sound. I was like, "That's amazing!" Like because that's like brings out. He's like, I can't imagine like a more offensive sound than like a loud electric guitar. I can't imagine a more obnoxious sound. And I guess that to me, I like leaning into that, because one of my favorite comedians is George Carlin.
Oh, yeah.
Really love his delivery and how he just doesn't hold back. And I want to be the same way sonically. I also try to be that way with like my phrases. Like I don't just do anything, man. It doesn't matter. Like no. I cut like 98% of the shit because I mean I'm more influenced with my spine from comedians who are like I don't go on stage unless 110% I can like stand behind what I'm doing, and like so I like that's my goal for myself is like I'm not gonna play a phrase that I don't feel that way about. But
that's
yeah,
killer, dude.
Yeah.
I was just gonna because you know the thing about Cleric with me and your attention to feelings and you know sonic I can't figure out the word that I'm trying to say right now, but I'm saying like the atmosphere of Cleric is just as important as the technicality, the you know, the precision, the creativity, like the soundscapes and the moods that happen in Cleric's music totally makes sense with being able to talk to you for 36 minutes already. And it all seems to already tie back to this funeral, dude, that we're talking about. Like this, it changed, it made you have a mood and a feeling that you were having, and that's what you pursued. It wasn't the music necessarily, it was the mood and the feeling that you were following.
I'm glad to hear you say that because that's definitely true. I mean, I'm following this trance feeling that somehow like I want time to stop so that thought can stop and that you can actually just like it's like open senses, you know, like so much about our society and our reality is like disassociative. It's like trying to push you to be dissociative. And I'm like trying to like anti that for myself. Right. I'm not even arrogant to be like, oh, I'm definitely doing it for all of you. Like, listen, this bit crusher feels so good, doesn't it? No, like I get it's like subjective, but like for me personally, that's what I'm looking for is that physical, like transcendental is like the bigger thing, but just trance. Like I want to enter an atmosphere, enter a landscape, kind of leave the local environment, you know, kind of episodic, you know, almost like they're watching a TV show. Like to me, like a song's not done until it really is like evoking clear feelings and clear visual things. Even if it's subjective, like you could see certain things a different way. I'm not saying, oh, you think of an elephant, I think of a tiger. Not even like that. Just like impressions of things, you know, more abstract.
What we're talking about is not translated into the English language.
Right.
You're speaking with your music, and I, as a listener, am you know, trying my hardest and still succeeding with understanding those atmospheres or those moods, those feelings, that the words trance and hypnotic or something that happens so much when you listen to a Cleric record, you know?
I'm glad to hear you say that because I feel like that we're not emotionally satisfied till it's making us feel that way. So we're just like, I mean, I don't even, to go back to the drug term, it's like, yeah, I mean, it is almost like taking psychedelics or something like that, where it's a spell, and it's just as soon as it stops, it's just time is just like still. And until it does that, I feel like there's something missing. So I just like, we all work on it until it feels like that to us.
Yeah.
It still might not feel like that to a listener, you know.
The journey is trying to get as close as you can, though, you know.
Right. And I guess the only way you can really judge something so subjective is like, well, we feel this way. But someone else might hear and be like, this is, you know, I read your retros ruined by generic riffs. And it's like, okay, well, they don't hear anything cool. They just hear a bunch of generic riffs. It's like, it's kind of funny. Don't bang your head against the wall for 5 years. And it's just like, sounds like shit, bro.
There's absolutely zero generic aspects to Cleric, by the way.
I appreciate that. But all I'm saying is it's a prism, right? It's subjective. So all you can do is make yourself feel that way. And the rest in God's hands are, you know, the black.
As an artist, we bring that up several times. You know, it's got to feel good for yourself, and then you just put it out, and then what it is what it is after you put it out into the world. You can't control anything from that point.
No, you really can't. And I think like there's this weird feeling that happens. I've done like enough records now that it's like how is it? It's like even if the mix is done, oh, it's not done. It's so subjective. And at a certain point, it's like you just feel it. It's like it's done, and you just know. And I can't explain that either. That's totally based on some weird subjective shit.
It's a language. I mean, I already said it, but it's just like this language that we all kind of like. With me listening to you, listening to Zorn, listening to anybody who knows what they're fucking doing in music. I, as a listener and just a vocalist on top of anything that I've ever done, I can understand the language, and I pride myself on understanding the language. But it's when it comes to speaking it, sorry guys. I gotta break out the Google Translator, aka Casey Howard.
Well, I mean, that goes to our language in general, right? Is like, and that's what maybe motivates me to be a maniac and live a life like that for 3 to 5 weeks and on the edge, like 15, 18-hour days. It's not like Motley Crue. It's like a fucking war. You know what I mean? Like, it's hardcore. I love it. I'm not complaining, but it's I'd have to really like get something from it to deal with all that. You know what I mean? To deal with all those email threads, to go out and like anything could dislodge that, right? Like anything with the van, like you have to really want to do it. So that deep urge to communicate and be understood, which I like early in the 2000s, Cleric was kind of looked at as like, what's the point of this? Because you're not like entertaining us in a normal way. People just get it, in that way, because it wasn't trying to like entertain them in that way. You know what I mean? It's not playing a LARPy game. It's not, at least I like to think that it's not, and I don't know. I like lost my train of thought. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, it's not a LARPy thing. I love that.
Yeah, no, I do actually have a question too, because you were talking about, listening to things over and over and over again until it like was right to you. Yeah. I know that, with a lot of people with ear fatigue, or like you hear the same thing over and over again. Do you find like, do you get in some sort of a trance kind of state by hearing the same thing over and over again, where you're knowing it's right, but like, if you hear anything too much, even if it's something that you've done, it kind of like starts to, you start second guessing things and going like, I don't know about this, or how about like new things start popping up after you start listening to something over and over again. Are you finding like, how do you get over that ear fatigue and just be like, all right, now we got it after we've heard it a million times?
Well, number one, it doesn't happen in a day. Like, I'm not sure that it has to happen in 5 years either, right? Okay. But like, I don't think it happens in a day. I think that ear fatigue is very real. I think it's cumulative shit. It's like you get like, just speaking like recently, I've been mixing the new Cleric, and like I didn't think I could even do it. I was kind of having a meltdown. Just like Jacob Collier level fucking tracks, like 197 tracks. There's no vocals yet. I'm just, how the fuck am I even gonna do this, right? But like, I learned some new tricks and like got my monitors more sorted out with the frequency response, and I just like was inspired, and I mixed the whole fucking thing in like 5 days to the where it's like I got it like 80 yards downfield, where we're just like, it's just automation at this point and like little fixes. But I pretty much did it in a week after like being worried about doing it for 2 years. Now the mixes went through like this kind of thing until that point. I see it more like you're planting like a garden, because that's more the time scale. It's not going to happen in a day. It's definitely not a fucking microwave. People that think that are new to our culture and aren't in touch with reality. Like, it's not a fucking microwave. It's not
just microwave music.
Yeah, right. And I mean, that's why a lot of people are like, this metal sounds the same. It's all the same template, right? Same production template, especially if they're giving everyone MIDI drum beats. Here's a crust beat. Here's a DB beat, like already written. You just drag it into the DAW and pick the tempo. I mean, it's like crazy, right? So I think, I'm sorry, I'm scattered right now with my.
No, it's all good. I'm gonna bring you back in right now. So, all right, Cleric.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me finish. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah, you got it.
So the ear fatigue thing, like the trick is go until you can't think of anything that day. If you can't go it's like you don't hear anything else the day you're mixing or recording, then you're done. But then tomorrow you might be like, you know what? I thought that and I was wrong. You know what I mean? And it literally is the next day sometimes. So the point is just don't stop, but don't. I get half.
Don't push it.
Full haste is too much. Half haste, right? Like waiting and procrastinating is destructive. Forcing it is destructive. Rushing is destructive. But half haste, you're aware, You're reacting in the moment. You're not imposing your expectation on it. That's a huge thing. People are like, I want it done now because my LARPy agenda is on the line.
No, that's really just human nature. I just said a version of that recently to my coworker. Like, we all, the human nature is we have a vision, we have an idea, we know what we want it to be, but the journey to get there is what most people don't want to deal with. They just want it to pop up like a genie came out of a bottle, you know?
Yeah, and then this goes into this mythology of like geniuses they just wake up and it just exists. They don't even do anything. They don't have to act. They have no philosophy. It's just innate. Geniuses. And it's like, no, it's not innate. Like, they deal with problems. I mean, knowing these geniuses personally, they're struggling. I mean,
I was going to say they're probably burdened with all that. Yeah.
To me about this was, if you want this type of freedom, it's a 24/7 war. War is the key word there. War. That doesn't mean like shoot people. That means like out strategize systems constantly. You know what I mean? Like, this system's coming for you, go around it. Like duck. You know what I mean? What does that mean? Like, understand what that means. Like, to me, that's like, it's like, don't, that's a really important thing, basically.
And the war,
these systems that are trying to enslave you, which goes back to Carl, and it's exactly what he said. Like, Zorn is like a musical. He's kind of in the similar spirit. He's a renegade. It's defiant. Like, everything's defiant. He's not going to fit into anything. He pisses everyone off in a way, you know. Like, I don't necessarily do that, but like, I know Cleric isn't going to be accepted in the tech death scene, in the death metal scene, in the black metal scene, in the metalcore scene, in the fucking Warped Tour metal scene, whatever the fuck that is, Polyphia scene, gent scene. No, we're freaks to all of them. So like lean into that, right? Like, and then if I go play an avant-garde gig and open for these like, you know, like 60-year-old jazz musicians, they're still like, holy shit, that's awesome. But it's way like not fitting in either. So like, that's like the goal, kind of like what I was saying before is like, you know, when this relapse style was kind of wrapping up and everyone's like jumping on the bandwagon, it got really lame. And it's like, what's the next step? Because this approach is awesome, but I don't like this subgenre. I don't like this lifestyle approach. Like get these tattoos, like look like this, like wear this costume. I really don't like that. It pisses me off. It's not music. It's easy for anyone to do that. So it really muddies the waters. And that's like right now, right? Like, there's too much music. It's constipating. You know, LARPing is, you probably like that I'm saying that because how many people does that apply to? I don't think that's
now that you brought it to my attention, dude, I put it into so many different, like, I could point at so many different things that I've just noticed in the zeitgeist and be like, everybody's LARPing right now, dude.
Kinda. That's what I'm saying. And that's the thing too, like, what's the real shit? Like, what's like the actual act, not the like fake version of the act. And to go back to mimicry, I was very depressed and lost after being like, I'm not going to just be a hardcore dude in Philly that copies Converge and Neurosis and Botch. I mean, there's like thousands of them. I'm now faceless. Like, it doesn't even matter who I am now. Right. So like, how do I retain my soul and use these influences that mean a lot to me and not be a fucking parody of a poser, you know, basically, you know, like, and like, to be the mimicry crowd was like, that's like not hiding at all. I mean, that was so beyond even like what I liked at age 19. I mean, especially because of the DIY message, like Dan Rathbun from Sleepy Time producing everything, all the Idiot Flesh shit, and Trey producing everything on a fucking laptop on Digital Performer, like blowing Pink Floyd out of the water. It's just so inspiring in like 2005 to realize that was even possible. It was like eureka, like my head exploded, you know? And then it's like, and of course that's genre busting. So now it's like, fuck hardcore, dude. Fuck Neurosis. Like, everyone else is doing that. I'm going to do genre busting. And so it became this bridge of like, all right, it started here and now I'm looking over there. And now I'm going to end up in the middle. And that's pretty much what happened. It's the bridge between those two things, because I deeply loved the mimicry things. It basically formed who I was as a musician. And I deeply loved the relapse hardcore vibe of like, I came up playing loud rock music in VFWs the bunch of people killing each other to riffs, and it's like that's what I thought music was. So it's like there's no improv in that style. So it's like a lot of mishmash going together, you know. And I think that's what creates a persona and identity, right? And the LARPing destroys identities. There's no identities when everyone doing the starter kit meme. There's no identities, right? Like
exactly.
So that was my main goal. Like, do not lose your identity in this. So no tattoos, no fucking lifestyle fashion bullshit. That's not what got me into this at all.
Yeah.
Like, the roasters, when they play, the room feels like you're inside a fucking witch cauldron, dude. Like, it's insane. The entire audience is just like, well, the entire time they play, like they physically can't even deal with it. Like, and there's no tattoos necessary for that. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with that. Like, it muddies the waters. I'm not even saying don't get tattoos, but this like lifestyle centric thing sucks because it's like, no, the music's better than that by a billion, and it's a joke. It's literally clown shit. You know, like it's a meme. It's a meme of reality. It's like now it's a meme. It's not even music. It's just a meme, and like one meme, game over, right? Like I don't know. That's how I see it.
And I'll say it many times during this episode. If you guys have not heard Cleric, you'll understand what this man is talking about when you listen to that music, because you will not find another band that sounds like that. I mean, you could dig as long as you want, dude, but I've been digging. That gave me a feeling, and still gives me the feeling that's different than pretty much everything else that I've listened to, you know? And that's why it struck to me, because I've always been the guy who was, you know, trying to find, I mean, Bungle rewired my brain at 15, you know? So
Bungle was a life-changing thing. I mean, I didn't mention that because I just feel like it's obvious.
Yeah, it is, but Bungle's a big key word on this show, because I love it, dude, you know? And
oh yeah, we all love it.
We all love it, yes, and rightfully so. It is something that was a game changer when you came across it, you know, and you were either, you know, shield. You were either pushed away from it or you were rewired by it. You couldn't do anything else, really.
I remember I went to for like the first year of college. I went to Humboldt State in like 2001, just for a year, and it was like everyone there was just like, oh, the Mr. Bungle guys are all from here, and they just are like just fucking left, or no one was there, but it was just like they all went there, or like bunch of dudes, right? So I was like, you're saying Trey or something?
Oh yeah, they were all around. That's like and I mean, when I met Trevor, and now he's like one of my better friends in New York, like he used to tell me, he's like, well, there's nothing to do there. So, and this gets like something that would be relevant even if you don't like Mr. Bungle, but just to our lives right now. It's like, he's like, well, there was nothing to do there. So Patton worked at this record shop. He every week he would rip us tapes of all the new releases, and then because there was nothing to do, we just go to this coffee shop. I think it was like even Denny's or something, and they just fucking talk for like 8 hours, just bullshitting because there was nothing to do. There wasn't even video games, really, you know. And that's why they were such a good band. And again, this goes back to what I was saying. The remote stuff like doesn't work because you're not talking or interacting in any of this deep level, like. I don't know, that wouldn't have even happened if they weren't bored. They wouldn't have even met up. So think about if they had smartphones or you know, you know what I mean, Clash of the Titans or whatever the fuck people play on their phone, right? Like Candy Crush. Like they wouldn't even be bored. So you kind of need to be bored for bands to even happen. And that's the thing that freaks me out about right around now is like I don't see anybody getting bored. Everything's surface distraction ad infinitum. Like, meanwhile, time's just flying, and like, what's even happening? And it's like my head when I hear them talk about how they formed, and it's just like I don't even see that happening now, because why would a kid even do that when they have like all the video games they want right there, all the movies they want right there? They're not meeting up at a coffee shop for 8 hours and bullshitting. That's not a thing that would happen now.
Well, to add something to that too, man, I kind of got out of, I used to teach music lessons. I had a business and stuff, and I kind of got out of that after COVID and doing a different career now. But I've really kind of had a lot of thought of all that with all these, you know, the School of Rock and all that kind of.
You did School of Rock? Oh God.
No, I didn't. I never worked at School of Rock, but I have a couple student bands I still teach and stuff that are great. But I kind of got to a point where I was like, you know, a lot of these bands, like they're not self-sufficient. They're not even meeting up on their own. They need the teacher there. They need you to set up their drums, all this. I'm like, this is this is not how it was for us growing up. It's like, you gotta get in, you have
It's
to
more
want
of
to
like
practice yourself. And like,
maybe the parents' vision. Maybe the parents were like, yeah, you guys should go do this.
Play date version of fucking.
It's like, go do martial arts, go play music, go be in a band. And I can see that for sure. Actually, one thing that came to my mind when you were explaining like the genre and getting above the LARPing and finding the anti-LARP thing, I was like, this reminds me of like, he's explaining music, but like in a DMT trip. like once you find like that layer that's like no one's been to that layer, and you're in that layer, like, oh shit, this is the spot. This is where I want to be,
Well, yeah, Mimicry and Terrence McKenna happened at the same time. So I was binging Terrence McKenna like just for fucking 24 months, like more than music. That's it. Like just, and definitely did DMT a few times. I'm more of a mushroom guy. The near-death experience thing is too much for me. I don't want to.
No 5 dried grams in the dark.
No. That's what I'm into for sure.
There you go.
But the DMT it genuinely scares me. But I love listening about it. And
I've never done it.
I have a lot of friends that have done ayahuasca a bunch, and it's just there's no. It's the craziest shit you've ever heard, and it freaks me out at the existential core level. I'm sure there's not a reason to be that scared, but I almost don't want to know in a way.
Yeah.
Like, no, it does unlock a level that you don't know exists, and it's like and the first time I took it was kind of like it was something as dumb as, hey, instead of let's going out and hanging out with people and drinking, let's for my birthday someone gave me like a bunch of DMT, and I was like, let's just do this instead, like as a recreation. Let's recreationally do it. Like, and they told us like how to do it. They're like, okay, the beings are gonna come talk to you, and you have to be in a dark room, and you have to listen to this kind of music, and blah blah blah. They set up the whole landscape for us, to do it. And it was just like I always explain as a psychedelic, just diarrhea, just like so insane. It was like all this stuff coming at me at once. It was just hyper intense. Then I kind of understood what it was about, did it again, and then kind of honed it in a little bit, and like was basically just traveling to like other worlds and stuff. And then the last time I did it, it was like this like being came down and was like, hey, don't do this anymore. He's like, he's like, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. Like it was pretty hectic.
I believe you, and I guess the question is like, is that are those real entities, or are those subconscious?
Well, everyone describes them. I mean, so literally they were saying,
but we're all humans though too. So like it could come from a similar place in our brains, like I mean, I never saw a bouncing basketball machine elf like Terrence McKenna talks about, but I did fucking experience like a lot of eyes shit.
A lot of like Alex Gray style painting stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. But I had experienced Alex Gray before that. I had seen his paintings before that, so it could have been, manipulated by a piece of information that already went into my brain.
Like a dream or something. Yeah,
totally. But either way, like this purple woman thing, that's something that's kind of a trip thing, because I did encounter the purple woman.
Wow.
And she was very important part of my trip. Yeah, very purple. And I Googled that, and other people have the purple woman thing, dude. So it's just something that you could either call it, outer worldly, or you could say, hey, we're all of the same biology. Our brains all kind of work similar yet different, but there's still like the basic core of things that make up the human brain, so whatever bank or file cabinet you pulled this out of in the brain, somebody else can still have
there's a copy in another brain
file cabinet, it's everything's built in IKEA, but how many people really use the things properly? I don't know. IKEA at the last end was trying to get some laughs, but I didn't get anything. Sorry, guys.
No, I agree with that, how you put that, though, for sure. I mean, I just think there's like, it's trying to impart information to you that you would never imagine. And maybe it's because there's parts of your brain that are connected now, but it also seems like with mushrooms specifically that it's like it's biological, like intermingling. Like it's, I mean, the last time I did it, it was like photosynthesis is the sun tickling coral reef. Check it out. And it's like, here, don't you feel the coral reef right now? Here, I'm going to tickle you. Isn't that funny? And I started cracking up. Oh, like what's crazy is I gave this alien the same exact thought stream, and he's like 13 billion light years away. Isn't that crazy? And I started like, I'm just like, you would never think of that. Like, period. That would never come into my head. And you feel like this at ease existentially. This is a really volatile time, and anxiety is off the scales. Depression, some meaning is gone. Everything looks bleak. I mean, mushrooms can really, it's kind of the antidote.
Terrence's archaic revival sounds like something that should be something that should happen right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to call it drug is a propaganda.
I know, and yeah, when I was saying the word drug, you know,
that's our government's language. It's bullshit. It's not true.
Right. No, we're talking about plants. We're talking about chemicals, and we're also talking about things that
like preservatives are drugs. You know, it's like, like things we put in food are drugs.
Exactly. Sugar's a drug, and but we're talking about some things that we found that are natural that interact with the human biology differently than everything else that we're talking about. Same thing with cannabis. Why do we have cannabinoid receptors in our brain? Like, why do we have a specific part of our brain that can accept cannabis or cannabinoids, marijuana? To you people who, that's actually more governmental fucking bullshit right there. Marijuana is isn't it like a Mexican tobacco? It's not even a real name.
Yeah, no, it's all, I mean, that marijuana is definitely like, that was racist to start that for sure. That
right. So that's why I use the word cannabis as much as I can. And that's what it really is. And but yeah, these
to go back to Cleric and just how this relates to music is like to get away from the local volatile cultural propagandized environment, fake environment, disassociated environment. That's showing me like a more tangible version of reality that's more related to, you know, how I naturally feel. So I'm trying to bring that sort of sincerity through the music, even if it's a band, a modern metal band that's like biting off of some mathcore stuff, you know what I mean, which is very hyper niche, hyper style in a way. You know, I did pick a style in a way, but I'm really trying to make the whole package more like psychedelic, like that, you know, like or like, you know, one of George Carlin's perfect rants where it's just a feeling about like, this is just true. It's just like this. It's this transcendental feeling. Like even if I fail at that, I'm trying to get to that with like.
He gets close to stream of consciousness thinking. Right. And you can catch that. You could dive right into that stream as it's going by.
Have you seen this new?
Oh, sorry.
Have you seen this new documentary on HBO?
Incredible! It was so inspiring, and
so good.
This is how he kept changed himself like 5 times.
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
Agree with you about the end of his life. My favorite stuff you said was the very end, and
me too. Oh yeah,
yep. Colbert's like, you know, it's very dark. It's like it's asking a lot from your audience. It's like,
dude,
to what he said and what someone else said in that movie is like, he's saying that so that the people that agree with him know that they're not crazy. And it's like, yeah, exactly. And that's what he does for me. It's like when he says something and I'm like, that's just so inarguable. And it, like that he knows that and that I feel that way makes me feel better. Right. Yeah. To me, and I don't take that last period as dark, just being like, you know, the American dream, you have to be asleep to believe it. You have owners, they own you, you know, all that stuff is like, that's dark because it's true. It's not.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Like it's empowering that he said it. It's liberating. And I want to, that's the other thing. I want to give people liberation. Like there's no box. We're making the box. We're deciding LARPing. There's no box. So like, that's the other thing is like, hopefully, you know, someone hears Cleric or anything I'm doing and they're like, whoa, okay, like why are we making all these rules? Because we can do way more than we're doing. And it's much more exciting because that's what mimicry bands did for me. It It was like, you're reading shit. It literally, like, hearing Book M and Book of Horizons and of Natural History and Buck Fever, all that stuff is like, oh man, you can do anything. It's insane. They like open the door for everyone for me. It's so invigorating and exciting. I can't even explain the way that made me feel.
I would be fully satisfied if somebody said mimicry adjacent, and that's all you can listen to for the rest of your life. And I'm like, I'm out.
I mean, that is all like years because it was so beyond everything else, and just the approach. It just was off. It was just such a rich experience, like artistically, you know, visually, musically, like. I mean, this is so funny. You guys will appreciate this. I remember 10,000 Days tour. I was still kind of into Tool, and because this was 2006, so you can't even blame me, really. Like, I mean, but like me and my friend took all this acid, and we went and saw Tool at the Tower Theater, and we were in like the back row, and it was $80. Okay, and it was like a fucking football game. We were tripping. We're on all these jocks. It's like we're miserable. Okay, they played for 55 minutes. 55 minutes, and we're just like, it did nothing psychedelic. Like, we were just, oh, get me the fuck out of here. So we went like home to my place, and we like brought up I don't know if anyone hasn't seen this. This is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. The Secret Chiefs. There's this bootleg of them playing Toronto in the Book M tour in 2000.
Okay.
And if you search YouTube, I think it'll come up. But we just watched that whole show, like while we were like peaking, and it was like thousands of times psychedelic with the bootleg camera sound and blurry visuals, just because of their music.
Right.
This is like Tool's not even psychedelic.
I know what you.
Yeah.
Sorry. The 10,000 Days era was when most people were like, all right, maybe it's different now.
Yeah, I don't like 10,000 Days. It sounds like Nickelback production. Like
it was. I mean, it was on my local alternative radio station. You know that.
It's our Black album. It's like, well, maybe you don't do that, man. Like, you're already doing pretty well, and I don't need a pop Tool song. Whatever. It's I
love
fun.
The artwork.
Yeah, it's cool. But it's just almost like it was like, oh well, that's middle school, and like Secret Chiefs is like graduate school, because that's actually feels like genuinely psychedelic and taking me all around the universe, and Tool's just in Tool on Tool Planet, and they can't even make a rocket, and it's just, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just stuck in itself is what I'm saying. Whereas Secret Chiefs is just 360. There's no limit. It's just like there's some loose rules, but it's insane the range of that style, and even Sleepy Time too. It's just like they don't sound redundant ever. You know what I mean? Like, ever. So
there is a feeling that I've gotten from Cleric, I've gotten from Secret Chiefs live. These are all in live settings, and Sleepy Time too, where it goes back to that feeling, like getting into me as I'm watching. In Sleepy Time, dude, the last time I saw him was with the Stratosphere at Great American Music Hall. It was a 2+ hour set. It was 2 sets split up by a play. There was a play in between, and it was all based on, they had the last human on Earth. That was like,
wow, that's amazing.
and there's this thing that was sitting in the middle of the stage, and it was wrapped in paper the whole time. And you know, halfway into the set is when they finally reveal that there was this last human inside this contraption just hanging upside down. And I'm like, oh dude, that dude was definitely not hanging upside down that whole fucking time, dude. His fucking head would be purple by now. Like the purple woman from my DMT trip. But yeah, dude, so they finally revealed that they have this last human on Earth, and then they broke into like a 20 or 30 minute play about this last human situation. And I was just like, this is for whatever it was, I don't know, $25 a ticket at fucking Great American Music Hall, the small, beautiful, lovely place. I'll never ever say anything bad about Great American Music Hall.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was and to have a Stratosphere opening up for it, dude, it was just
what year was that?
Yeah, a Stratosphere was still going, so it had to have been
like 05,
2000. 6 maybe, yeah. Because it was Sleepy Time's last tour as well.
Oh wow, that's incredible. That's
Yeah, they
right.
wrapped it up after that tour.
Oh man, I'm just in awe of that whole crew. Just, I mean, the other thing too. I don't know if you know about the immersion composition song game. Do you know about that?
Refresh my memory if I can't think of it right now. Cannabis.
He's the Sleepy Time percussionist. Now they all write different songs. It's kind of like an entourage of songwriters, instrumentalists. But he came up with this game with this other dude. Forget his name. It's terrible, but they wrote a book about it, and it's basically like, I did it a bunch of times. It's like a game where you try to write 20 songs in 12 hours. You're not allowed to spend an hour and a half tops on each song. So what it forces you to do is just like move through your style and go all over the place without questioning you, because you don't even have time to question anything or analyze anything. I mean, every time I did it, I only got like 6 songs in. But I ended up like using some of these songs, and that whole idea of just like, no, just sit there for 12 hours, don't do anything else, write, and just keep writing and don't even take a break. And it's like 8 hours in, you know, you kind of like hit the center of your style, because there's no way to like curate or like be self-conscious anymore. You kind of break through that, and it's not your style just is, you know.
And it sounds like you're trying to catch like flow state as much as you can, and I use the term stream of consciousness. That's the same exact way of, but actually like documenting your stream of consciousness over a long period of time through music.
Totally. And like that just goes into my philosophy in general. Is like, and especially the last few years, is like now that I'm doing way more improv than I ever did in New York. And I realized that like the stuff I like the most that I come up with comes from improv, because it's subconscious based. And I come to believe that the subconscious is like way more intelligent.
Yeah.
Like the conscious mind can arrange songs, but in terms of like coming up with elements, I can't reach that sort of alien level with my conscious mind, like sitting here, like just write it now, be a genius now. It's just not how it works. It's like, it's like, or be as clever as possible. Because it's so ego, like the conscious mind wants to control everything. It's like, my ego is the best, you know, like I come up with the best shit. So here it goes. And it's like, yeah, that's not even going to work, you know? So like, to me, I'm really into like going on these deep dives with the subconscious. It's like, you know, sometimes play 40 minutes. There's like one little needle in a haystack in there. And it's like, but that thing stands out. Like crazy. It's like a golden thing, like this pile of shit. And it's like, yeah, I cut everything else away. It doesn't mean I'm a bad guitarist. It means, or bad composer. It means I'm searching for shit, and it's a high threshold. And yeah, most shit gets thrown away. Now I think conscious mind was trying to do it. I can't write anything. I suck. Just forget it. I can't even do it. I mean, that would happen in like 5 seconds. It was like, there's no stakes if it's subconscious, because really big issue is like, I think musicians get caught up in like, what's my identity? I wrote this. It's my identity. And then someone says some shit about it. It's the worst thing I ever heard. Oh, now you're fucked, aren't you? Psychically, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm really into stoicism, like cynicism, like just like you can't control things. So just focus on what you can control. Be emotionally like, just, it's not irrelevant what you feel, you know? And to me, that leads me to like the subconscious terrain, because the conscious mind's a little boy. It's just not able to control anything. It's pathetic in this realm. Like, so the subconscious is my link to the wizard self, you know, it's like really can mold things in a meaningful way. The conscious mind's like, it's like I'm blindfolded in the dark, you know, it's like I can't see in the dark, basically. And I feel like people are switching those around, because they think if they are thinking of it consciously, that must be the best thing they can think of. But like, no, the subconscious knows more, in my opinion. And
I agree, dude. Yeah. Some really cool stuff. I mean, I'm gonna just come up with an example from like freestyle hip hop. Like some of these guys who are really into off the top of the dome shit, they can really come up with some beautiful poetry with zero preparation. And you know when dudes are really getting to that flow state. I've already said that, but like there's something about like us being an antenna of sorts where we're, tapping into the muse and catching frequencies and radio waves and being able to grasp them and archive them, document them in the present moment and have something to work with after that point. And I try as much as I can to keep a clear mind so I can have that satellite ready to catch whatever I can. But the everyday struggle of being dad, being alignment technician, homeowner, all this shit like is constantly fighting that. And that's like the war that we're talking about earlier, the fight against the resistance of getting to the ideas but once you get those ideas, it's a feeling again, not being able to translate it into English. Like what it's not an accomplishment necessarily, but it's just the gratification of being like, oh yeah, I fucking got it, dude, or I got one, and now what do I do with it? And hopefully it's something great.
Right. And then that goes into like, I mean, in this last 2.5 years specifically, it really became clear that music is just like raw therapy. You know what I mean? Like I needed to do our records. It wasn't like you should do it. It's like, no, we're gonna lose our fucking minds in this hellscape. I'm sorry. Yeah, we are privileged. Like we're in the best country or whatever. We got a lot of shit, but things are falling apart. It feels like the world's on fire around you.
Right.
There's a lot of things that are really bad. And if you're empathetic at all, if you have the ability to think like globally or think on the collective level or just have empathy for other people, it's a terrifying, traumatic time. And there's just trauma every day. And like it really became like, you need to do these records because this is the only thing you can control. Your lives are out of control, and it's like we needed it physically, just to feel better. So, I mean, the records I've made since COVID, it's like I don't care how popular they are. I don't care who understands them. It's like I needed to do it. I mean,
yeah,
it's like the beginning of the quarantine, like the first 3 months. First of all, I had more booked that year than I ever had. It was going to go better than I ever had. Everything I canceled. I'm not even complaining. That's what happened to everyone. But like initially, I was just kind of in a haze for a few weeks.
Right.
Kind of did what everyone was doing, which is just like 24/7 media heroin. You know what I mean? Like play No Man's Sky for fucking 12 hours a day, like a lunatic. I watch YouTube, like binge on YouTube during, like watch the apocalypse in real time. Like just not healthy behavior. People were doing that, and we're just like, whatever. I worked for like bust my ass the last 15 years. I don't give a shit. I'm just smoking weed and I'm playing video games all day. Fuck everything. I did not like that. It's crazy that like when I was working, that was like amazing. But as soon as quarantine happened, that made me peak claustrophobic. So I just stopped all the video games. I didn't watch shows, and I just started fucking recording. It's not like, oh, I got to achieve. I got to here's now. There's a line a little bit like any musician that should all take advantage of this time, really achieve. It's real capitalist bullshit, right? Like that's not really my vibe. It was just like I'm gonna lose my fucking mind if I don't make some records right now.
Right.
The video games are making me crazy. It's not making me feel better at all. I'm like it's having the opposite effect. I'm getting like really claustrophobic and depressed. And so I don't know. Once it was like I'm on a track with a new Cleric album. I'm on a track with this new Cleric Zorn album. I'm mixing this Saratma record. I'm finishing up iNFiNiEN. It's like, okay, I'm moving somewhere. It was a different feeling than like the quarantine created, which is like the world's collapsing and you guys are going to sit here and here's the Coliseum. Isn't it grand? Isn't it grand? Like I just fucked with my head. Like,
yeah,
it didn't work. It was just like a breaking point. And I just to say that like this stuff meant one thing at one point, but in the quarantine, it took a little bit of a deeper meaning for me where I used it to get over depression and like literally loud volume, is like physically a physical relief. Like I was more aware of that than ever.
And I think that also you should be, fucking grateful in the sense that you found solace in something like that, because, so many other people didn't have something like that during that time, dude. And I've always been saying this since, because we started this thing in the pandemic, and I've said it many a times, like, this is going to force people like Matt Hollenberg into a space where they're even more vulnerable, or not vulnerable, but just, just in a different zone that they've ever been. And I was, trying to be always positive and say that the art that comes out of this situation is going to be something that is precedented. I think that, like, so many people are going to be showing their emotions through their art and music that they hadn't really been. Like, everybody was shooken straight as an artist. Like, if you're going to express like you're feeling such high emotions now, if you're going to do it, this is going to really beat you,
Yeah, because it's that feeling of like you really get what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know, because there wasn't any money the last 2 years, and even tour right now is like people are getting fucking wrecked left and right. I'm not going to go on tour right now. I'll probably go on tour next year, maybe, hopefully. But it's like there's no certainty in this situation, and like this year was going to go great for me, but then I got COVID right before this Zorn gig. That was this huge jazz fest, and I use these jazz fests to stack money so that I don't have a fucking corporate wage slave job. But it doesn't work all the time. And it's like, that's why I have this haircut right now. You know what I mean? So, but like what happened this year is I got COVID right before this Germany, John, and that was going to be like basically that into Big Ears, which is another fest in Tennessee, was going to be like half my money or money for like 4 or 5 months, where I could just buy it, use that time, then finish Cleric stuff, finish Shardy Shut, finish my own music. That's been the game. But once that didn't happen, there was no kill shot for that money. So I owed Zorn the money. So I didn't get paid for a few other things because I'm in the hole to him now. The entire year just got off the fucking rails and just like really rough. And I just wasn't like, it was imagine how fuck up that feels, right? Like you're looking at the year ahead of time. You're like, wow, I'm just going to sail down the mountain. I don't even need to worry about anything. It's like, first thing that happens, like you're not doing that gig, bro. That's
you hit a tree like as soon as you hit.
Sick. And it's just like, well, now you got to pay. You got to dig yourself out of a ditch. Like there's no, like you owe them that money, and that's what it's actually risky. Like it's even riskier to tour, but it's just risky to even take a high paying gig because it's like if someone gets COVID, that's it, and there's no insurance money. So,
oh, dude,
the musician just gets fucked.
Live performance totally got fucking their ass handed to oh shit, class is in session, the professor is here, dude.
What's up? Can you guys hear me on this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Matt, what's up? I'm Joseph. I hope they filled you in. I was always planning on hopping in.
Yeah, no, we said you were coming around. I don't even know what time it is, right? Oh, you're right on time. 2 minutes, dude. 2 minutes after. I said 8:30. Cool.
Well, he was hanging. We were going on a rant, so I didn't want to just be like, boom, just throw him in,
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good,
nice.
Dude. But yeah, Matt,
Joseph. Chatter looks like they're enjoying it. Hey guys, I'm glad I'm not talking to no one.
No, dude, we love all of this, dude. You're fucking doing great. I wanna reel it back in though a little bit though. I want to go back to so Cleric's got Regressions out. Let's tell us about like what happened after that album came out, whatever kind of tours that were happening then, because I know I want to build this up to I'm not looking for like a long Zorn explanation, but you got to understand I'm a big Zorn fan. That's how I came across you. And
story. I don't have another story, so it makes sense.
Well, no, it's all good, dude. I just want to know, like, so Cleric and Regressions. I want to know where you went from, how'd that catapult you a bit?
Well, So I don't think I realized when we were making Regressions that it was already kind of a bridge between Mimicry World and Sonic World and Relapse, you know, like early 2000s Relapse land. Like I kind of thought in my mind that it was just going to come out on black market activities or not even Relapse, and no one was going to give a fuck, and that was going to be it. And that's what my entire perspective was. Now, Secret Chiefs came through Philly in like 2009 or so. I think it was May 2009. And this is when I kind of met everyone. And so I'll just give you this quick version. It's a little bit of shit, but
no, it's all good, dude. I want to hear it all.
Basically, Trevor Dunn had a band at the time, Mad Love, and they came through Philly and played this venue, Kung Fu Necktie. You guys might know it, but
it sounds familiar.
A lot of the metal bands play there. It's a dive. It's whatever. But he didn't have a bass cab. So the promoter knew me, and so he's like, do you have a bass cab? Can he use the Cleric bass cab? And I'm like, sure, I'll bring him by. And so I drove the van over and I brought him the bass cab. And that was the first time I met Trevor face to face. And I just gave him a copy of Rush of Blood, which is the third track on Regressions, or maybe the second, second. Sorry. Yeah. And I just told him, like, you know, all your songs in Bungalow are my favorite songs, like easily. It was like, you're the best. I love you. And I just thought he was like, yeah, you're a weird fanboy. That's nice, but whatever. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. So then, like, a week goes by. Maybe it was like 20 days or something. And this was still MySpace time. So we were still on MySpace. Then he hits us up through MySpace. He's like, yo, I listened to that track. You guys are fucking crazy lunatic motherfucking bastards. I'm gonna send it to Zorn and see what he says. So then I sent it to Zorn, immediately got an email.
Zorn?
Yeah, like wild fucking playing, man. Like crazy shit. Holy crap. Like
wow.
So then the following week was Trey's show. And then our bassist at the time, James Lynch, gave him the copy. And I was so in awe of Trey at that time. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was like full fanboy. He was basically like musical Jesus to me.
How could you not, dude?
Yeah, I was just like, he wasn't even like, he was like floating on a magic carpet.
Yeah.
So Lynch was the one to give him the song. Now, like maybe 10 days passed. Then that Exclaim Canada, or not Exclaim. The Hard Times.
Okay.
Hit me up on MySpace. And this was like, they didn't have any like meme game yet. They were just like a generic underground.
Shit.
Yeah. And then they're like, yo, Trey loves your band. Hit him up. And so then I just wrote Trey a MySpace message like, yo, honestly, honestly, at this point, you're my favorite musician. I'm like, yeah, your entire thing is motivating us, like everything. The DIY thing, the fucking albums, you're just the man. And he's like, okay, well, yeah, I'll put it out. And then we're like, oh, that was it. And then it took like 4 years to actually meet Zorn, because I was just like, cool, you like it. And like, that was it. And I didn't see him. I was in Philly. You know what I mean? So like, I just was like, he likes it. That's cool. And then so in 2013, like, I think it was like February or March or something, he put out a playlist that was like his playlist curated, and he ended it with Rush of Blood from the Head. And we were like, oh wow, okay, he really likes it. He ended the fucking playlist. So we thanked him. And then at this time Moonchild was going on, which was his band that he wrote for Patton, Medeski, Joey Barron, and Trevor Dunn. So Larry, the drummer in Cleric, went to see them in New York, and Zorn is like a real freak with the audience. Like he's so introverted. He hates talking to people. Like it's his nightmare. So he just like literally runs out of the venue so he doesn't have to talk to anybody. But Larry got a hold of him. He's like, yo, I'm Larry. I'm from Cleric. And he stopped and he's like, oh my God. And then they talked for a while. He invited him out to our show in that fall. We went on tour for like a month, like just totally DIY the whole country. And he came out to the first show. And that's when he was like, okay, that's like the best thing I've ever seen. You guys got to do a Masada song. So then we did a Masada song. And then right after that show at Town Hall, when we did that Masada track, he offered me to do Simulacrum with Medeski and Kenny, and he was just, he's like, it has to be you and Kenny, it has to be, and it's like, okay, and I didn't really know him that well, so I was like, so you have an idea, and just like every musician, I'm not going to hear from you again. Like, that's the end of that. Like, because that's what most musicians do, right? Like, oh, let's make a band. It's like, that's the end of that. You don't even hear it.
We've all had those, yeah.
Message never even comes.
It's all just coke talk, yeah, totally.
2 weeks went by, and he's like, here's a fucking 20-page score of insanity, like 2 15-minute songs and just nested couplets and fucking 11/16, 13/16, 9/16, 7/16. Jesus Christ, like, looks like alien script, like Stargate shit, you know, like yeah, and then I was just off to the races, man. And then we literally did like 3 records a year from that year to now, and there were a few years where there was 5, I think, and I think I'm at like 20 since 2014, maybe, or yeah, September 2014. I think it's 20. And it's just like,
I've been waiting for us to get to this part, dude, because this is the group that
I mean, I looked up your discography. It was like insane. I was like,
Simulacrum is the group that I came across Matt in, and it's Kenny Growowski,
yeah,
from Imperial Triumphant, a monster on the kit, like a monster on that kit. And John Medeski, dude, like, come on, Medeski, Martin Wood. If you guys don't know about that shit, get the fuck on it.
Oh yeah, dude, I've listened to that for so long. That's crazy.
Catch up.
It's cool.
So, and then
Crazy
Matt
connection.
Hollenberg on guitar, and then there's a few records in that discography that also have Trevor Dunn on bass as well.
Yep.
But that was
one is a quintet. So this is funny. The second record, it was like they were going to do another record that was Rebo, Kenny, and Trevor Dunn as a trio, like a noisy trio thing. And so he just combined that record and took the record he wrote for them, and that became the second Simulacrum. And it was literally like 10 days after we finished the first one. So he's like, we're going to do another one in 2 weeks. And I'm like, wait, what? 4 months to prep. So I was just like, I don't know. It's just so, it was kind of like realizing like how quickly he pulls the fucking trigger on stuff. And it's
let's do like a quick 5-minute thing on Zorn real quick, just so whoever's listening to this doesn't know. John Zorn is a composer based out of New York City. He was part of the downtown music scene back in when did he start doing it, Matt?
He's been in downtown since like 72, I think.
Since 72.
He kind of broke out in the mid 80s. He did an Ennio Morricone record that Morricone himself was like, this is genius, and that kind of broke him internationally. And then Naked City happened.
Naked City is where that was my origin.
Right. And then he did like 6 records for Naked City. And he's a real renegade because he got in with like the top people in music, and they were all about him. And he pretty much told them to go fuck themselves. Incredible.
But yeah, it's really like Zorn became one of those. He became one of those voices, or voices through music that everything that Matt has been mentioning, being this standout, against the grain type person, and Zorn was that. But he also, was this composer that just like, vomits music, and it's all so good, dude. And so I started with Naked City because I branched backwards from Bungle through a Stratosphere and kept on, because I love to try and dig as far as I can. You take that rabbit hole down, you'll get to like Carl Stalling and Looney Tunes and all that shit.
Scott.
Yeah. And so Zorn was just one of those guys that was this guy was just like, I don't give a fuck, and
Defiance is his thing. He's
he's a contrarian like a motherfucker, and I love it, dude. He literally I want to call him, in my opinion, one of the most important composers of the 20th century, dude. And
he looks forward, and he's not like a conservationist. He's like, he doesn't take things as sacred. He's like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Don't repeat anything. And he's pushing everyone around him to do that. And I'm definitely inspired. And just like Trey, it's not even like I'm going to copy his music, but just his whole model. You know, that's one thing I realized more in my 30s is like, so much of what makes a musician thrive isn't just their talent, but their ability to contextualize their talent in a model that elevates them, right? And that's like another level above, like, just learn how to play. It's like, well, learn how to interact with a community on what you have going on, because that's when everyone thrives, right? That's tough in an individualist culture that's like, you know, that stuff is weakness. There's this mythology that's weakness, but it's like, if the reason musicians are so fucked right now is because we've all acted like temporarily embarrassed billionaires and then do remote bands and like quantize everything, and it's a soulless fucking game, right? Like, if we get our communities together, that's the main message I take from Zorn, as opposed to like Trey and Dan Rathman was like, bro, you can just do this like with tools right now, just DIY grit. You can make this happen. Like, that's one message. Zorn's message is like, you can create a music scene with like 30 people. You know what I mean? And just relentless enough, and you have the right perspective, everyone is gonna elevate, right? The cross promotion is really how music works, right? Like people, I know people, like, if I didn't work with Zorn, a bunch of people wouldn't have checked out Cleric, because I got some Zorn people to check out Cleric because they liked the Masada record. So it's this cross promotion thing. It's not cynical. It's not like, you know, it's not careerism. It's like you're participating in a music community. And like, in the age of YouTube, social media, atomized individuals, quantized, LARPing, right? Like, it's such a weird word, but it shouldn't be, because that's really what makes music work the best. And like, remote bands, remote situations, quantizing, you know, LARPing, pushing lifestyles, all the stuff we just talked about, it's not really music in the sense of what we first talked about, which is this visceral, physical thing. It's like transcendental. Like, all things in the way that people are approaching it is like, it's predetermined. You're not even interacting with it, right? I mean, the best is when you interact with it in the moment, spontaneously, no wall between the senses, like a dance, right? Like, that's really music. But like, remote recording, quantized, all that stuff, I'm going around, but just to reiterate that it's not really the same thing. And to me, when I got in New York and everyone's improvising and creating a community, it takes so much to just be here. There's not a lot of cynicism, actually. Like, there's some gatekeepers who have been here too long, but anyone that's here fighting to do their thing isn't that cynical, because it's pretty fucking hard. And you know, the improv thing is an element that's so important, because otherwise you're kind of just in a cover band for yourself and you're not interacting with anybody. It's not that it's like good or you're supposed to be the best. This stupid concepts. It's like, you're supposed to get together with people and elevate everyone together. It's supposed to elevate music together. It's like, we
talk about that feeling. We talk about that feeling of being in the jam room, in the jam space, and the feeling of everybody being on at the same time, and taking it a step further, where you go into that improv realm where everybody's just jamming and doing whatever the fuck they want to do, and then everybody connects on that one point. I love that feeling, but I've never gone as far as to going into a room. We have nothing planned. We're gonna, you know. This is where I'm taking this. I want you to talk about this with me, because one, it sounds like improv was already kind of your thing before you even met Zorn, and then two,
maybe a little bit. But I don't think I fully understood how vast it could be.
That's even better, dude, because now I want to know, going into that realm where Zorn is basically composing your, he's not composing your improv, but I'm saying he's kind of because that's how Zorn does it. He kind of like controls the space somewhat as the composer, but gives you your space to find your voice in that moment with the piece that's happening, whatever is happening, you know. Like Cobra's a crazy thing that'd be cool to talk about later. But yeah, having him like at the helm, and being in that space. Tell me about the first time you're in the room with Medeski and Kenny together. Like, I want to know all that, dude, because
there's a couple aspects that are pretty cool. Like, so Kenny was on the Secret Chiefs. So I didn't even mention this. Cleric went on tour with Secret Chiefs in 2014, October of 2014. The first simulacrum was December, and he asked me in June. So he gave me the score in that June, and then it got pushed back until December. It was supposed to originally be in October, and then he pushed it back to December. And I was like touring with Cleric and Secret Chiefs for like 3 weeks. We did like Canada and like half the US. So I already knew Kenny because we'd just been on tour. We were just like bros. Like we totally hit it off. Like we really got along. Like
perfect.
We were just like, oh man, we're gonna be in a band with Medeski. Oh my god, that's crazy. Wow. You know, and it was kind of that vibe. But then, you know, meeting Medeski, he's just so stoic and anti, like, I'm the man, okay? I'm the man. Like, not, it's like never that, you know? It's like, I'm just here. It's you know, like these recording sessions are a healing experience. It's like, but it's just like there's it's almost like you're taking mushrooms together. That's kind of the vibe. That's Medeski up there, and I'm down here. Because it's funny, there's certain things, and I'm not even. It's just different generational things, right? Obviously, I grew up on the first thing I heard, like early on, Cali Infinity, Botch, you know, Meshuggah, like weird rhythms. That's like how I hear groove. I don't even. There's nothing. So like some of the weird shit Zorn writes, which is very anti-groove and angular and jarring and disjunct with the way he puts compound measures together. Sometimes like Medeski wouldn't be natural for him, but me and Kenny would be like, oh yeah, this is like a kind of Dillinger part, or you know, we'd have such a different frame of reference than him. And listen to any of that, like none of this. So it's kind of cool in a way because Zorn's goal band is to be like, he wants it to be like Tony Williams' Lifetime, but like insane, like death metal, like extreme, you know, like distorted, blown out noise, you know, like
I mean, we're talking the one word that we haven't said is experimentation. It's something that all of the improv and everything that we're talking about, it's all experimentation, and you can obviously tell that Zorn is an experimenter. And is that even a word, experimenter?
Yeah, totally.
He loves to experiment and taking an extreme from one realm and blending it with an extreme from another realm to see what he's an alchemist, dude. And he, you know, he loves alchemy and all these other crazy things. Like he's just doing it through music instead of other things, you know?
It's totally how he sees it. And when that was when I first, like, what was really powerful about meeting him is he helped me understand, because I've never met someone that was so disinterested in like all the aspects of music that most people are like, you got to do that though. I mean, let's do that and then we'll write the song. Like he's just like, fuck all of that. Like fuck no marketing. I mean, to a fault in a way, but it's just it's almost like Bernie Sanders shit, but just for music. He's just like, no corporate PAC money, like no money. He's like, I've rejected everyone that's offered me help because they just wanted to control me. So he made enemies, but it's also like he created this system that sustains itself and just kind of elevates everyone involved.
Right.
And I tell you, to be in that crew for big years was like a life-changing thing. I just feel like I'm in the mafia or something. I just feel like it's just a wrecking crew. The standard is freaking insane. It's like,
that's awesome, dude.
It's like, and there's no way to feel like I'm the man and the rest of them, I don't know. There's no way to even feel like that, you know, because you're just humbled just to be around anybody. So I look to my right is Bill Frisell. I look to my left is Julian Lage. I look across is Kenny Wallison, Joey Barron, you know what I mean? Ciro Baptista. It's fucking Grokowski. Zorn's playing sax. It's like, I'm not the man. I'm like learning from them, if anything. I'm like definitely at the bottom of that, but I feel blessed because you need people to pull you from the front, right?
Yeah.
I mean, before I met them and when I was around Philly, there were a bunch of years it was just kind of stagnant, and it's because unfortunately the ceiling in Philly is like 2 inches above your head. I don't feel that it's that hard to get. You come to New York, it's like, I mean, I'm not even trying to say New York's better than everywhere. It's just the standard, like, because people have to fight to be here. It's like, I'm not fucking playing. Like, it's for real or fuck off. And that's the vibe. And it just forces a sort of realness to happen. But it was funny, the first session with Zorn, right? Like, I didn't know any improv. So he's like, noise guitar solo. I'm like, what do you even mean? I didn't have the whammy or anything. I like just brought like a normal jazz setup. He's like, all right, motherfucker, take these keys and fucking hit the guitar with these keys. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Holy shit. I'm just starting, you know what I mean? It's like stuff like that, which is like, you wouldn't think about it because Zorn doesn't listen to metal. He doesn't care. He just thinks he thinks like,
I do have a question about a video because I did like kind of an extensive little watching of all the videos of you and Zorn and stuff, jamming and stuff. There's one where he's like the conductor, and I want to know like where he's pointing. Go, you do this, you do this. He's pointing at you, pointing. At
I already know. Wait, when you go like when he goes like this, that means go to the top. Bring it back to the main riff.
So Matt, so I have a question for you because I did notice that you were looking at sheet music too. So is he actually conducting what he knows is coming, or is he throwing you like to tell you to do something at one time?
No, he's totally doing it randomly, and there's little numbers above each motif that are literally a measure long. So that's one, right? And so if you get ready for two, you're like, and it's just like literally initially three, and so it's like, you know, it's like just like anything could happen, and because of that vibe of like anything could happen, creates this like tightrope eggshell kind of shit with the musicians where they're like, and they're looking at him like, what's happening? And it's like
tension, dude. He's pulling it tight.
Yeah, because it fucks with us. Like it's Art of War shit because he loves Art of War. Like I know he's like, it's just to get you in that pressure cooker state. Like what's gonna happen when you're pushed? Like I remember on Salem, which was like, what was that? That was 9 records in or something. It was from 2018 with Julian Lage. I mean, we did one solo like 11 times, like 11 takes. Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck? It was like one of the best solos I ever played at the end of it. So he was right, and he wanted it to show me something. It was like a lesson. You know, it wasn't been pointless. That's the crazy thing. He always knows more than I know. So I didn't really like get improv until he took me to that like full level. I was like halfway in maybe before then, you know.
Did you maybe did he point like when he's doing like the putting you on the spot and putting the pressure on you? Did maybe one time you made a mistake, but then you're like, that's not a mistake. That sounded fucking cool. Something like that.
Yeah, if he thinks it's a mistake, then it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, I know. That's actually another thing.
Oh man. Yeah, he has a very low threshold for mistakes like that. It's classical maestro shit, right? There's no rock guitar thing where it's like, I know it's a little sloppy this time though. No, they don't even let you do that. They're like, you missed the fucking note, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it's like triggers, and I'm just like, you better get your fucking shit together. It's like, oh my God, calm down.
Exactly. Okay. So like whatever noise comes out from whatever quote unquote mistake is a noise that he was trying to get out of you anyway, or like not that he even knew was coming.
Convoluted. Like, he didn't straight up tell me to do it. He knew I was gonna do something. But at that clip you're talking about, which is from Big Ears, he's like, all right, you two play blues, you two play free jazz, and he's like, the tempos don't relate. They don't relate. So he's like, ding, 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 and I'm just going gang, 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 like deliberately off. You know, it's just shit like that. And then he's like, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like everyone together. Then back to different bands playing different things. It's just like, you know, like again, like right, if you predetermine your song, you quantize everything. It's Guitar Hero, right? It's not that. That's something else. Like you're playing buttons that have been laid out for you. You're just poking buttons. You're not even like reacting to anything, right? So if I get a pressure cooker state, it's all sensory reaction. So that's to me why it's really counterculture to the vibe of YouTube, Instagram, quantized, LARPy subcultures. Like that, it's just like that. They're not even doing music to me.
I do have a question for you. Actually, I have the question. It's been burning my. So what would you do? Because you use LARP a lot. So you have a new way of thinking. I mean, the people you hang out with and all the musician circle that you are with is kind of finding its own kind of voice, trying something completely different outside the box, not being boxed in with anything. Have you found anyone that you would consider has LARPed you?
What do you mean?
Is there Cleric LARPs out there? Are there
taking a style that you think is that was something that kind of that you're doing? So now you're doing this thing but the thing is with counterculture, or not counterculture, but just jumping outside the box constantly. I guess you could just keep jumping outside the box and it would be something different. So I guess that wouldn't be LARPing exactly, but someone that you feel because there's how many Nikki Sixx copies are there out there? How many, you know what I mean? Have you ever felt the
whole time, right? This isn't a new, it's just totally the levels it's at right now because it's easy to do with the internet. It's I love that Star Pack meme, dude. That's game over for this shit.
But do you think in the future, because of such a progressive, insane mindset that you have on music, that there's going to be people that LARP you guys?
I hope so. Because if they LARP me, they're going to sit there like an idiot and play every division of 3/4, 3 through 13 beats, and play 13 against 12 and find a rhythm in there. That's LARPing for me, not getting tattoos and spending 5 hours on my fucking hair and getting the burst.
I'm glad I wore a long sleeve tonight, guys. He doesn't even know.
I have no tattoos. I'm in with Matt.
So tattoos are great. Once it's trying to look like a type of person, I'm kind of over it, and it's annoying, especially in music scenes. Music comes first to me, right? I don't care about your lifestyle. It's just so annoying. It's fine. I'm not interested though. It's not inspiring me the way a good record is.
What do you think about bands like Ghosts, where no one knows who they?
Here's the thing. I go so back and forth because it doesn't work that well for me. I'm gonna have to
good music
job in 1 fucking second. But I follow those big bands just to see what it's like for them, and I just realized I don't even know how to do that. It's a whole different thing. I respect bands that pull that off, but I don't even understand how to do that. I don't understand how to hustle it. I don't understand how to put the show together. I don't understand how to get people into music that way anymore. And I also feel that the bands that succeed, they're kind of just incestuous with their own scene. You know what I mean? Like the Revolver bands, and Revolver's been really nice to Cleric, so I'm not even trying to say anything, but just that kind of vibe of it's a scene, and I don't like that. That means it's a scene before it's music, right? People aren't looking for rhythms. They're not looking for new chords. They're not looking for new ways to arrange things. They're just what do people like? Cool. What's the press photo look like? Cool. Who's going to do the logo? Cool. It's soulless. It's detached. It's dissociative. There's no identity. And then the most annoying thing about it is you're going to tell me it's fucking rebellious? Go fuck yourself. It's a laughable joke. There's nothing rebellious about it. I mean, we seem like we're all similar age, but I romanticized the underground in the 90s, right? So my view of a band is there's no internet. No one even knows about the band. You just go on tour endlessly. Black Flag, right? But that's not a thing in the age of Instagram. There's no underground. So there's no too cool for school anymore. So that's really hard for people like us to understand. I'm grappling with this shit because I don't know what to do with Instagram. I don't really know how to be on there. None of this stuff comes naturally to me. And
I have 3 posts on Instagram, and they're all fucking pirate coins, guys. Come on. You think I know how to Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't, and I want to just say about the tattoos. It's I don't have an issue with the tattoos. I have an issue with the LARPing. There's plenty of incredible, sincere musicians with tattoos. I mean, that's not my point. It's just everyone.
No, I know what you're saying. I got it from the beginning, dude. Don't.
Everyone, I go to St. Vitus. It's everyone's in a costume, and it's I'm coming here with a fucking mascot shoot.
My thing is you're not going to be able to go to fucking the Spirit Halloween store and get a Cleric costume, dude. You're not going to get it because you need to be able to. You would have to understand what kind of atmosphere and feeling and mood that you're trying to make to copycat Cleric.
Right.
There's these certain groups and that I've come across, and Cleric's one of them, where I just say, hey, they got their own thing right here. Literally their own thing. I just was reminded about it in the last week, fucking cramming for this episode because you have so many fucking projects, dude. and I'm sure you haven't even mentioned them all yet.
Oh,
But iNFiNiEN is one that I've actually, dude. The song "Aya" has been in my brain for like 4 days, dude.
Oh, I'm proud of that song.
That song literally is a super catchy song, and forgive me, I didn't do enough research on the band, but what's her name? Because she has a beautiful voice. What's her name?
Chrissy Loftus.
And she also plays all the piano that you hear on the albums, right?
All the keys.
Oh, she's wonderful, dude. She is such like that whole and your bass player too. Everybody in that band. I've watched a little live footage of you guys too, and it was very refreshing, dude. It really was.
That was really inspired mainly from all that mimicry stuff, and then I got really into Balkan music. This band Farmers Market. I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, I love Farmers Market. That's Stratosphere guys.
Yeah, that's my favorite band maybe ever. Like they got me way into Balkan.
I'm going to be honest, dude. I was going to mention Farmers Market as one of the bands that came to mind while listening to it. But you know how in conversation it's like, hey, your band sounds like this, and this. It's like, you know, I don't.
Absolutely conscious. They're like the best band I've ever heard. I can't get enough of them. They're incredible. And talking about just feels so good. It just makes you happy. Is within 3 seconds. It's like nothing makes me happier than Farmers Market. Like that's soulful, like masterwork, like top shit to me. Like no one's like very few bands have ever achieved that level of music.
Involuntary body movements always tell me what a band is to me, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. If your body doesn't move involuntarily, they're doing something wrong. It's like,
and what I'm saying, iNFiNiEN gives me involuntary body movements, bro.
That makes me feel good because when I'm mixing stuff, I'm trying to get the bass sorted so it's like hits the body like it does live, you know, so it really, you can feel that. Like that's the only goal. That's why I love the Book M so much, is the mix on that is so fucking nasty. So the low end on Secret Chiefs Book M is just.
That's actually the first record I got from Chiefs, dude. Was Book M.
What a fucking record.
Oh, dude. And okay, so now that we're talking about Chiefs again, we're talking about Cleric, we're talking about all this, we're talking about Zorn. I'm like, dude, I had an experience where you were involved in it. Trevor Stewart from Worship, your roommate Joel, was involved in it. I invited him out to Chapel SF, and it was Zorn's 65th birthday. He was doing a 7-night residency, and every night was different, and there was the perfect night for Anthony Trapani, dude. There was Cleric, there was Simulacrum, there was Secret Chiefs 3, there was John Zorn and Mike Patton doing an improv sax and voice. There was this whole improv thing that happened where you guys were all rotating as musicians in and out of the stage and contributing and leaving and contributing and leaving.
And it was a single thing, right? I remember that.
Yeah, it was this like rotating thing that happened where you'd see somebody do a thing for a little bit, and then I'm sorry, there's beeping in the background right now, but
pizza's done.
If you guys hear it. Yeah, actually, yeah. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna mute for 1 second. What? And I'm back. It's gonna be until she comes down. Oh, what up, Professor?
Hey, what up? How's it going?
But yeah, dude, it was. I don't know if it started with Patton and Zorn.
I think I remember that.
And then, it just like was this rotating thing that you guys are rotating through. It was super cool, dude. And I had a lot of those deep, like spiritual experiences that night because I was feeling all you guys. And Cleric was one of those things where I was like, I've never had this wall of sound situation that happened as much as it did, where I was actually, you know, the tension and release thing of a Cleric set, especially playing something from the. Did you guys hear this beeping still? I'm gonna lose my mind right now. All right.
It's not bad.
Yeah. It's throwing me off though. But I was just saying, like, that it's so funny that it's called a chapel. I was like, dude, I'm at church right now. I'm getting the Holy Spirit go through my body. Like, I could not stop moving through that whole night, dude.
That was an
And
night. You're right. What a great night that was.
I forget what the dude. I'm sorry. Can you guys? I'm so sorry. I need to fucking deal with this.
Actually, so actually, you were talking about, not to go completely off kilter, but kind
Let's
of
do
like a band that actually really blew my mind, that I wouldn't expect that would blow my mind. It was, they were playing Felton Music Hall over in Santa Cruz County, and it was this band Bellwitch, but they did yeah, with what's that they mixed with the other band? What's it?
Was it Red? Or don't they play with like stoner rock bands?
Yeah, and it was like the Bellwitch guys and like another guy together, and they like, do you remember what it was called, Joseph? Do you have any idea what it was called? Like slow, I don't even know. But it was like this I was like, whatever, it's a stoner rock band. My friend's stoner rock band's playing. I'm gonna go check it out and, you know, have a beer and be like, fuck yeah, good job. And which they were great, my friend's band too. But this band came on, and I was just like, it was Bellwitch mixed with another band, and it was like this fucking psychedelic experience. I was like, and it wasn't even fat. It was like a kind of like a Pink Floyd-y kind of like.
Nice.
Was it? So it says Bellwitch and Aerial Ruin.
Aerial Ruins.
Stygian Vow plus Vona. Those are the 4 acts, maybe.
Yeah, Stygian Vow, something like that, or yeah. And I was watching it, and I was like, whatever. I'm down to watch the headliner. I'll just, you know, I'm here. And I was like, it was just a stoner rock, kind of like slow, but it was very. I have no idea how to explain it, but it was psychedelic to me, and it did bring me to like this, like the state that kind of you were talking about, even with like the funeral kind of state back when you were a kid.
Yeah,
it's like I didn't give myself to it. I was like kind of like pretentious to it when I walked up to it.
You didn't expect it to happen.
Exactly.
And then it didn't matter. That's kind of. I love when that happened. That happened to me one time with Neurosis, when I'm like, whatever, I've seen them. As soon as they started, it was like.
Yeah, I know.
And Horizon, like,
I walked out with my friend. I was like, "Was this one of the best shows you've seen in like a long time?" Like,
I love when that happens, because it takes it beyond music. Because it's like, now it's not the subgenre, and now it's just this raw sensory feeling. That's what I'm looking for. I don't care about the scene or the subgenre. It's annoying. It's in the way. Yeah.
Exactly. And Bellwitch is kind of like lumped into that whole like stoner rock thing. So I was like, oh, stoner rock.
Yeah,
okay, so
but they stand out. I like them.
Yeah, they were great. I mean, that whole mixture of the two bands together, I was like, what? And the bass player just completely is an amazing bass player, and it was like mixture of like kind of, and they would do like guitar solos on the bass, but they just worked. They weren't like doing, you know, they weren't too much. I have no idea. And I was drinking, like I wasn't in the stoned vibe at all, you know, and I totally just let myself go and was like, whoa, like, you know.
Nice.
I think that's what music fans look for. I don't think they care about this lifestyle promotion shit. I think it's really convoluted stuff. It's not even like, we're all kind of like counterculture anyway. It's not like we have to pretend to look that way, but just the like overly like, who's more cult is just so.
Yeah.
We all have to have mohawks. Yeah.
I got over like, dude, I know cooler bands than you a long time ago. You know,
I want to ask Matt, have you heard of a band called Tarantula Hawk?
I have heard of them, but I don't think I've listened to them. But
you would like them. They're fucking crazy, dude. Sequencers, like 2 bass players, and like I used to go to shows down at the Shea Cafe down in here in San Diego, and I saw Converge and Neuros, all that kind of shit. And this is the late 90s. And,
great.
Yeah, and this band, dude, Tarantula Hawk, so fucking rad, dude.
Oh,
I
wow.
still listen to them. They're fucking so sick. And also, have you ever heard of Black Dice?
I have heard of Black Dice. Where did I hear Black Dice?
Yeah, they're a lot different now, but they used to be fucking. They were a bunch of art students from like Rhode Island, and they started this band, and they weren't musicians apparently, and they like, it's all just insane, fucking avant-garde, fucked up, like more experimental. Really, it's not. There's no structure. But it's like, actually, no, I guess it is. I don't know how to explain it. It's fucking dope. Like the early shit. Check out early Black Dice. Yeah.
Early Black Dice. I'm doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the new stuff's cool too. It's more electronic now.
I got a question for you, Matt.
All right.
Give me the definition of avant-garde to you.
Well, I can already tell that the word avant-garde is going to be LARPy in like 5 seconds in real time, like on social media, because there's already memes about it and shit. So
right. Now everybody figured out the word, dude. It was a secret for a little bit.
Genre busting, but that's too confrontational to people. But maybe avant-garde is too confrontational, because I've seen some really like reactionary fucking takes, dude. It's ridiculous. But all it means to me is like, I'm not following your predetermined bullshit. I'm combining this with this, with this, with this. If you don't like it, I don't give a shit. That's what this is about, is doing things that like offend convention, right? Like a
totally
convention. That's, if you want a summation.
That's
But
good.
is that really avant-garde? Avant-garde sounds incredibly pretentious to me.
Yeah.
It's like a camp.
It does sound
right.
pretentious.
People
It does.
are acting and memeing it and trying to be like, fuck you. But like, I already saw a couple memes about it. But like, you know, people like this like thing of like, you can only listen to this style is really from like 40 years ago. Because I saw a meme posted about it on this metal group. It was actually funny, because it was like, oh, avant-garde metal, so you need to be special, bro. You need to be special. You're a special little guy. And I was like, actually, that made me laugh. But they're all like, because they were listing like suffocation, dying fetus is like, that's not good enough for you? What the fuck? You know, and okay, well, that's also stupid. And all the like, I listen to those bands too.
I saw that meme
for sure.
Yeah, and I can listen to like Cleric, you know what I mean? It's like they're giving me different things. And like, yeah, by the way, we were bitching about Tool. I still want to listen to Tool sometimes.
Hell yeah.
I had a
song scratch that itch, and it's like they're still memeable. You know what I mean? Like,
totally. Yeah, they can take it.
It's fun. In the age of memes, when none of us are actually talking, people take them like way personally.
Oh, I love memes.
We all love memes, and I feel like it's just funny. People are taking them so personally. But yeah, avant-garde to me is just like, you know, you don't accept convention. You're a renegade. You're like going into scenes and you're like fucking with people's minds. Like, not their rules. You know, like I remember when we opened for Nile, Cleric opened for Nile and Soulfly. So funny. It was like,
rad, dude.
So fucking cool. Like, he is the coolest guy. Like one of the most down to earth people I've ever met.
Who is?
George Calais. He's like,
we just had him on.
We just had him on.
He is the coolest guy.
He's so cool. He's amazing. And like Harry and me have loved Nile for like since high school, because we just thought it was ridiculous stuff, so like good. Black Seeds of Vengeance and shit. Like just we put it on and just like laugh for the entire album.
Hell yeah, dude.
And, like, funny excitement.
So
it's like a mushroom laugh. It's like a mushroom.
Yeah. You're just like, listen to this insane shit.
Oh, dude, totally.
Yeah.
Like, it would break your brain to just hear the beat and imagine doing it yourself. It's just like a brain ending, you know what I mean? Like, all that shit. Like, like Calais saw Larry and he's like, I couldn't do any of those beats, not one. So it's like, well, Larry couldn't do that for like even 2 seconds. He's done for like an hour. So it's a different methodology. Like Larry's Hella, Primus, Tim Alexander, Danny Carey, Neurosis, Khanate. You know what I mean? There's not really like Gene Hogland, like death. That's not a thing, right? Whereas the Nile guys, Calais is just sitting there like doing push-ups all fucking day. Like,
yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Have you heard Sickening Horror?
320, right? Like, and it's like, like he just doesn't do that. He's like, let me give you like a feel. Let me give you some tuplets. Like Calais doesn't even do tuplets. So they're just in different realms. But like Larry, like it's so fucking awesome watching them watch each other. Because when they were playing their set, we're just like looking at him, and he's like looking at Larry like, because he knows how ridiculous it is. Because it's like a joke. It's a fucking joke how fast he plays. And then like when Larry was playing, he was looking at him like, oh my God, like just like, what are you guys doing? Like just like if shit and Ifrit, like
I love that shit.
Yeah. Guys, like, what are you guys fucking doing? Like he had no reference and he couldn't do it.
I mean, you could take that back to the grass is greener on the other side. You always see like, it could be like that. I'm doing it like this over here, but it could be like that. And you're like, oh, that I like how he did it. Like, you know, how he did his yard right there. I like how he put the hedges over there. Like,
but like, that's my ideal for Cleric. Like Larry's like, we're literally, I mean, we're kind of working out our Pinky and the Brain master plan right now. And it's going half well, but like, my ideal is straight up like open for fucking Metallica, open for Tool, go wreck their shit, get booed, it'll be glorious. Like that's like really the ultimate goal is to get booed opening for Metallica.
Dude, a Tool right now, like Tool has bands that open for them that cover their songs before they go on. There's a band that's like a old brass band or so. That's a Trevor said he just saw them. And they
Brass
like
Against.
They played like 2 Tool songs before Tool went on. Like,
oh really?
The world was when Phantom played before Tool on the Lateral tour, and that was like changed my whole life because I was like in college. I was like tripping or like on tons of drugs, right? Seeing them. Phantom comes out, and it's like. I liked it so much more than Tool. Like immediately, I was like, "Holy fuck, dude! What is that?" And everyone there booed them, and I couldn't believe it.
Damn.
So
they're like, boo, boo,
boo us, boo Weezer. They were here Wednesday night. Like, It's like making fun of them and like blowing kisses and like it was just like it was like real. Like, because Tool is just like goes to here. It's kind of like a doorway, and then there's all this other shit that's way cooler.
Right.
You know? And I was like, as a younger guy, I was like, that's like badass to go in front of like 50,000 people and just be like, eat my ass.
Yeah,
totally. That is right.
I want to do that. I want to do that. So like that Nile show is kind of like getting away with something.
If you did that, I would be you in the crowd. I'd be the one guy like, "What the fuck, dude? This is sick, dude!" Like,
it would just be. I mean, because like we started to get some pits recently, but basically until then, it was like Godspeed vibe from the crowd, just like no one moves, just there.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like last few gigs, people started in Boone like some of the breakdowny parts, even though they're like completely off, and there's no, it's like there's no way to feel a beat really. Like, but there's starting to be like some triangle pit shit. Like we used to call it at the early days triangle pit deathcore.
Yeah,
I'm bringing that back. That's
weird. A circle. You got to.
So I just saw open for Sepultura's like Max Cavalera and Igor got back together and they're doing like a Rise and Beneath the Remains, like they're doing like tour. My friend's band Cephalic Carnage opened for them, and they literally did like they were trying to do a Wall of Death. But the thing is, Leonard like explained like 90 rules.
Yes, dude.
And then everyone's just like, all right, go, and like no one knew what to do.
Yes.
I was dying, dude.
Yes.
Really? Wait, what?
Yeah, it was so funny. He's all right. We're gonna do
So
single
the Wall of Death.
we're doing like a singular Wall of Death with like 3 people that could he like started going like all these rules that didn't make any sense. I just went into it and I was crying laughing. I was like,
dude,
because the Wall of Death has always bothered me. It's always bothered me.
Recorded.
Yeah,
I know. I didn't know that was happening. It happened like so like randomly. He's like, all right, I want to do a Wall of Death. I'm like, I thought he was gonna do an actual Wall of Death. I'm like, dude, come on. Like the bands that do that now, no offense to Dan Kennedy,
that way.
But we have friends that in big bands that still do it, and it's like, all right, we want you guys over here and you guys over here, and blah blah. And like I like now it's like so overplayed now that I'm like every time a band does it, I'm like I immediately don't like I'm against everything that you're about.
Who started the trend though, Joel?
2003 when we went on Warped Tour, they were doing that. So it's like it's really
Well, it's an ego move.
Wait, Cleric was on Warped Tour?
Yeah. That's how we
shit. Oh, that's you said Warped Tour metal bands, and I was like, okay, so
that's
what kind of explains that.
Like I saw the Ataris work on their fucking hair for 5 hours every day. It's like,
dang.
Already, guys. Like,
I went backstage a couple Warped Tours. I remember like hanging with like Andrew WK with like some 41 and stuff. Yeah,
that was what we were on. That was 2003, I think.
It was Whitechapel was on it too. This band.
That was later.
That's probably 2007 or 2009 or 10. I think that's when I went on it. But yeah, that was
like, let's get away with something because it didn't work. It wasn't even a good business decision. But it's kind of like we're 19 and 20 years old. We're not going to college. This is the college experience.
Right.
What a clusterfuck that festival is. I remember like there was 1,000 buses in the back. There was like 900 buses, and then there was like set times are completely different every day. Like completely. One day you'll play at 11 a.m. Next day you'll play at 10 p.m. It's like all over the place, like where you're gonna play. It's
I'm really glad that I went on that tour though, because I'm glad you mentioned that because nothing solidified my philosophy like going on that. seeing all the bands work on their image that much.
Oh man,
big rock stars all the time, and it's seeing this like corporate trade fair bullshit, all couched as the counterculture. It's like, this is fucking disgusting. Like, it might be, but this is fucking Fruity Loops for like. I just like really had an existential crisis. I was like, this is a fucking band. Fuck. Like, I'm trying to do soundtracks or something. Like, nothing. I can't express to you how like depressed it made me, the idea that was the only way to do it. That's why, you know, it was almost more of a release when I found the mimicry bands. I was like, oh my God, Jesus.
But almost like an influence for you, too. It's almost like an influence for you, like, you know, seeing all that and being like, that's exactly what we're not trying to do. So we know even more what not to do in another direction, you know?
It's exactly an influence. It actually influenced more than stuff that was a positive influence in a way.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers like buy all that hair gel, and every day it's 5 hours like a fucking like makeup in a movie. Like, and then it's like, oh, punk rock. And meanwhile, you're like hawking Monster Energy drinks. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Buying your makeup at what did I already say? Spirit stores today. I already did.
You can use it again, man.
We're done. Just the costume subject. It's like, you know, that's just been what we're talking about. Is like putting on costumes. Everybody's they want Halloween more than one day a year, dude.
No, it's Comic-Con, and then it's worse than that, because I don't remember that band like The Used, and then Jared Leto's band was on there, and they're like really just like straight up like petter, you know what I mean? Like
30 Seconds to Mars, is that what it is?
I think so, but they're like looking for like young girls. And, like,
dude, that is like the most hot topic, like or not even like what is it, American Eagle, like those types of stores you go in and you hear 30 Seconds to Mars, and that always was like one of those like, oh yeah, there was a cookie cutter for pop format for this type of music, and they just grabbed it and went with
it's
it.
like it's definitely probably it's management in the background going, it's kind of like a NSYNC or a Backstreet Boys, like, all right, well, I think that we could put together a band like this and this would be a profitable thing.
It's a rock and roll boy band. Yeah.
Right. And I think I didn't get until that tour, literally 2004 Warped Tour, where it's like I was old enough and seeing clearly enough and trying to figure out what I really wanted to do, because I didn't want to become cynical. And I realized, like, no, most bands are just a fucking business plan. And once you have your set together, it feels like doing a wedding band, because there's no improv and it's just fucking ad infinitum every fucking time, dude. Like, even being Metallica, right? Like, don't they have to do Enter Sandman every time? And it's like, you don't think you're sick of playing Enter Sandman 30 years later? You're definitely fucking sick of it. Are they even listening while they play it? I wouldn't. I'm exaggerating, but this is where it's like, doing a band isn't that cool, actually. That's when that started to happen. And then I realized, like, why isn't it cool? It's because everyone is like lame and redundant. And then I found three people, and I'm like, that they are not redundant. Nothing about what they're doing is redundant. It's all a contribution. And it just lit me up. Like, I was like, okay. It was like doing mushrooms. It's like their albums were like the musical equivalent of like doing mushrooms for the first time, where you realize, like, you were just in Plato's cave, bro. Like, this is reality. Like don't stop looking at that. You know, you were looking at shadows. Like that's like literally what they did. And so, like, that's why I'm so maniacal about my music, because like they did it for me. I got to do it for people younger than me. So it's like, to keep the circle going, the cycle of inspiration. I'm gonna get burnt out at a certain point, and then I'm gonna fucking die. So there isn't an infinite amount of time.
Art is something that we love so much, and to just like any other, you know, thing that you love, you would not want to see it go away. So what can you contribute to the cycle that we've been talking about? What can you do to hopefully say, okay, I did something to prop it up a little bit, you know, that one little sliver, you know?
Totally. I mean, and that's just all I want, is just to make a contribution in a real way that's not just doing something to do something. Because that's what I think the problem is right now, is I feel like way too many people are just doing shit to do something. It's like the appearance of doing something.
Yes, dude. That's what
anything. And like that's why my shit sometimes takes a long time. Like, sorry, it takes 5 years to make a Cleric record. It's really fucking hard to do. Every step is insane. Sorry. It's like, stop bitching. at like 13. So with no help and no record label, nobody helping me, just the four of us, no roadies, nothing. I think I could take 4 fucking years. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like get over it. Like just listen to it again. You still don't get it. You know what I mean? Listen to an old record. There's so many people bitched about Retro because it took 8 years. You know what I'm saying? 3 of those years, robberies, nothing happened. Then lineup change. Then raising money to make an 80-minute album with no money, dude.
Retro,
we paid for Retro by doing 2 Masada shows. And it was and that was most of the money. So we just didn't take money for those shows. So that to me is meritocracy, where it doesn't really exist in the real economy that much anymore. But in my musical world, okay, I earned 2 Masada gigs, used those Masada gigs to pay for this original record. I earned the Bag of Balls record. I bought the preamps Colin Marston has. Now I don't have to go to his studio. He just masters it, right? So now I can record myself. This is all like, you know, it's almost like an RPG. Remember when you beat people in RPGs and new weapons because you get power-ups? It's the same thing. I'm doing the same
thing. It is. You're fucking playing the video game of music and life.
Right.
It really is like getting what you need to get to the next point. You're constantly setting up another goal to hit.
Right. And you just want to constantly, it's not like achievement like it's peddled in the corporate academic world where it's very linear and it's a pyramid. There's a top of a pyramid and there's an ultimate alpha dominator that owns the entire universe and we're all his slaves. It's nothing like that. It's like progressive self-growth and anyone can go through it if they choose to. It's not exclusively mine. It's all of ours, right? So like doing music in the real way, it's an open door like that. If I think it's about some LARPy subculture, then I'm blind. I have a blindfold on. I can't even look around me, let alone interact or create anything meaningful. I mean, I can't even see what's around me. These ideology and these scenes are just like, nope, I'm dissociated now. I don't have to sense anything. And to me, I'm trying to open the senses up. They're fucking closed down from all this bullshit marketing, business plans, like strategies, all this like cynical, like manipulative games. Like if music hits you in that real way, right on the senses, like it's way more powerful than all that bullshit. And you see that stuff's bullshit. You know? So
this is a good segue to ask you the question that I've been waiting to ask you, which is with your attitudes towards everything that you just mentioned, what was it like for Cleric as a project to now? I mean, it's not really, I'm thinking of the word surrender. You're not really surrendering the project to Zorn, but you're taking on Zorn's compositions for the Masada book box set that I own and love, but at the same time there's a backstory to why I now hate owning that, because how it came out, Zorn got fucked in the deal. You guys got fucked in the deal probably.
Should I go through that real quick, or does that not matter?
No, I would actually love to hear that. I'm actually maybe mentioning it to see if I could bait you to start talking about it.
All right. Well, basically, like once that town hall gig happened in 2014 that I mentioned earlier, where he came out and saw Cleric in 2013, he's like, do a Masada track. So we did a Masada track at town hall. Our goal was to arrange something so insane that he just offered us a full record on the spot. That is what. And now, you know, once that happened, he was going to originally do like, because he had 92. Basically, there's 693 Masada songs total in the entire songbook, because that's how many laws in the Torah there are. So it's completely related to like angels in the Kabbalah and laws in the Talmud. So he's 93. So book 3, which is the record we got our songs from for that record, or the songbook we got our record out of, is 92 songs. So he basically just gives us these one sheet heads or music that's like maybe 5 lines. It's like 30 seconds to a minute tops. And all his only rule was, you just have to do this as written once. So that's the only rule. So I make a Cleric riff to start, We could do like nothing having to do with that head and then plop it randomly in the middle. We can also pick any tempo we want. We can do any groove under these melodies. We can make it any style. So he's not really telling us like, here's a song I wrote with all the parts. He's like, here's a piece of something, fill it out the way you would with improv, with your language. And that's kind of what we end up doing. We just, you know, we arrange it as crazy as we can. And we take the opportunity to do improv, which is not something we ever write into Cleric songs normally.
Right.
It's just some noise texture stuff. We don't play like straight up jazz solos like in Cleric proper songs. But like in these Masada songs, it's like it's jazz language. Like every other group is doing that. So we just got into, you know, solo sections. And that did open up the style of the band a lot, because when Larry's like coming from, you know, the 90s prog metal thing, everyone wrote like Danny Carey wrote every beat, every fill, did it the same way every time. You know, maybe Larry was like buying into that a little too much for his own good. And we realized very quickly, once we started doing more improv, that like unhinged, spontaneous Larry is best, not Larry trying to be Thomas Hawk. That's not the vibe. Like, you know, like him just playing what he feels in the moment is the best version, not the predetermined thing that's played correctly and perfectly every single time for 30 years. You know, and this is where it starts to break from another band, where it's like the more we do with this improv stuff, the more we're like, fuck writing beats, fuck you, no, fuck quantizing it. Like, no, like never have the click, never. You know what I mean? Like just like a maniacal, like hard line, you know, because the results speak for themselves. And I don't know if you've listened to Retro, you can kind of hear it, which is why I'm like, if I have one issue with Retro, it's that. It's like we were going through lineup changes. We didn't have a bass player. We wrote all these demos on Logic. Larry wrote the beats, all the fills, and then learned them, right? And there's a stiffness until the very end of the record, until Triskaidekaphobe and Grey Lodge. You can kind of tell that's what we did. And I'm not sure that it puts Larry in his best light, where you hear Grey Lodge, the last track where there was no plan. It's just like, bro, we're out of time, just fucking play. That's the best drumming on the record.
I enjoy it throughout.
It's great the whole time, but the approach, all I'm saying is like you can hear the approach start to change in Triskaidekaphobe, where there's a little more looseness and breath and dynamic in the drums, and that's because we just ran out of the linear plan, and that's why I've kind of gotten philosophically opposed to even writing drum beats, in a way, because I'm just like, I just want you to feel it right now, and like gravitate towards something, make a decision. But I don't like, listen, I love Meshuggah. It's one of my favorite bands ever. 90s Meshuggah is like anchor for me personally. Unbelievable. Like, but like, I just don't want to play like that. I don't want to approach it that way. And that Larry doesn't play like that. So more like Primus and Hella and just Draz stuff that's just different each time.
You're down with Hella, or is he down with? Yeah.
Zach Hill. How could you not be? I mean, he's a genius.
Fucking... Oh, dude, another a very unique voice, dude, is Zach Hill. Though both those guys, Hella is I fell down the Don Cab rabbit hole and got to Hella very quick.
Oh yeah, Don Cab's great, but Hella's like a timeless. That's novelty.
Yeah, I'm not really comparing them. I'm just saying I fell down the cab hole and got there.
Oh yeah, the music. Hell is that musical novelty shit though. That's just like that's totally distinct, right? And that's like ideally that's what I would want. I'm not sure that I feel that way about what I'm doing even, but that's what I would love that. Just like you hear it and you immediately know who it is.
I'm gonna call out my favorite song right now, 1-800-GHOST Dance. I forget which album it's off of, but go check that out. Hella 1-800-GHOST Dance. That's the jam, guys.
Hell is unbelievable. There's this other band too I really like, Yowie, if you know Yowie.
Yeah,
Yowie's awesome, and I love that drummer. He's so good.
Yeah, dude, it's all I'm as a vocalist, my favorite thing to listen to is drummers and bass players lately. But dude, and I'm not calling you out because obviously I love listening to you too, but I'm just saying that currently in my life it's drummers and bass players, dude. That's my shit.
Yeah, I mean,
rhythm section.
To respect bass recently. I mean, the last few years it's like that's like the band to me. The bass is, and when I mix, I'm just like, you get the bass right, you got it, you know.
And you got it in iNFiNiEN, dude.
amazing. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have him.
That dude rips, and the mix of the newest full length. What is it called? The one that came out in 2017.
Coming out in August. We just got vinyls and digital.
Yeah, you guys got the single, but I'm talking about the most recent full length. What is it called?
Oh, you mean before this new one coming out? Oh, Light in the Endless Tunnel.
That's the one I've been jamming. The one with Aya, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because since I was so new to that project, I could only really dive into that album. I did sample the single. You guys already have a music video for it too, right?
Yeah. And that'll come out on vinyl in like a couple months, really soon. We already pressed it and everything.
I really back this project, guys. Like if you're into fusion, prog, funk,
Balkan,
Balkan, all that shit, dude, just fucking dive in, take a few puffs, and sit back and make sure nobody's gonna bother you for the next several, minutes or whatever. I stopped right there in that sentence.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you know what I'm saying. Go fucking have fun with that band for sure, dude, because I have been.
Awesome. I'm really happy to hear that.
I want to hear the origins of that real quick. If we were done with what we were just speaking about.
Okay. Yeah, that was so right after Warped Tour, I was really, really in a weird place. The second Warped Tour, because I was basically like, I don't want to do a band. It's really stupid. It's like I hated everything about it. And I moved into this house in Philly with a bunch of people. I was like 20. It was like standard, like everyone live in a house and does psychedelics all the time kind of vibe. There's just like a party house, like almost like not a frat house because it was like art all over the walls, but it was, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
Chrissy and her boyfriend at the time, Justin, were going to Temple University for jazz. I was a little alienated from punk and metal at the time because I really didn't know what I thought about it after that Warped Tour experience. And not that that was even that metal, but just I was in a weird place with metal and I didn't know what I wanted to do at all. So I remember with them, it was the first time I'd taken psychedelics and actually played with people. And it was a profound experience. And it really changed how I saw music. And then I remember Justin, because he was a jazz performance major, and I wasn't, because I didn't want to do that. He just taught me all the stuff they were teaching him. So he taught me all these 5-6 note chords. He's like, he came up with this whole style. He's like, I want to use these lush chords, only clean guitar, all these polyrhythms. And so the whole thing's just kind of vibrating and oscillating and floating. And it's like, wow, it's really cool. Like, so I saw it kind of as a challenge to just come up with a style with clean guitar that was as intense as like the hardcore band I was playing in, like, but just a different emotion basically.
right.
So I was trying to like reach that same level of intensity, but with subdued clean guitar, more with texture and vibe as opposed to volume and violence, so that's kind of how it started. And then, I started getting heavily into world music right around that time, like Ethiopian music, Mauritanian music, North African, Carnatic, Middle Eastern, Azerbaijan, Mugam, like all this crazy shit. And it's just like exploded my language while the jazz stuff was going on. Then I kind of went back to metal. And that's when Regressions started getting written. So there were these 2 years where I was just like, fuck metal, man. I don't have one idea that I like. And I was just into mimicry bands and genre busting and farmer's market. And I went all in on the iNFiNiEN thing. But then I came back to Cleric, and that's when we finished out Regressions. And because my language had opened up so much, I feel like I was able to get Regressions to a way higher level where it became more of like a looser, more organic thing. Whereas you mentioned the Underling, you can tell that we're just kind of more of a hardcore band at that point.
Yeah.
So all that experience of the formation of iNFiNiEN I was able to like improvise and interact in a different kind of way. And I don't think if that had happened, then Regressions would have sounded the same.
That's one of my favorite bridges, really quick. I'm just going to say, because I do enjoy that EP, because there is a part of me that loved the metalcore and the old, metallic hardcore shit and all that stuff. So
that's where we started from.
Yeah, exactly. And so I appreciate that, because I did also come across it at a time where it is important to me. But that bridge from that to, well, you guys had the EP vinyl that you have to help me. Is it Allotriophagy?
Yeah, that was like a self-release. It wasn't a vinyl. It was
That's actually the first track on Regressions, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was the demo. So that was recorded on a 4-track. We used to practice in this daycare center on the weekends because the old bass player's mom owned it as a business. So we just take all this acid and sleep there and play like psychotic death metal in the daycare center. That's the vibe of Regressions, just so you
Yeah, that's all good, dude. That's probably why I love it so much, dude.
That's pretty unhinged and strange. But yeah, so that was
that's why I wanted to mention that earlier when you were saying I gave him this track 2. I was like, well, yeah, if you gave him track 1, you handed him an EP that you it's a 20-minute song.
That track, it just set the whole thing off for me. I mean, it was like we were signing Mimicry. Soren's like moved to New York. Simulacrum started. It's just all from that track, and
that's so crazy, dude.
Estimate like what just handing like a crazy thing you made to someone you respect is gonna do, because you don't fucking know. I literally thought nothing was gonna happen, and I was just working IT, and what I'm doing is a struggle to keep it going, and it doesn't always work. But I pretty much made a living making Weird Al music that's uncommercial for like 15, 20 years, and I haven't compromised yet. So I don't know. That's to me. I want more musicians to do it that way, even if it's hard, and it might not even be as hard for you as it was for me. But just people that just do something courageous, like actually courageous. Like I don't think Ghost is courageous, or you know what I mean, or just like playing that kind of game of like oh, this is what they like in this scene. Just make the donuts, bro. It's like yeah, it sucks. It's like I'm not even gonna do a band at that point. I'll go work at CERN or like work at James Webb. Like that's way more interesting at that point. It's like if it's about exploration and experimentation, novelty, like Terrence McKenna talked about, then these scenes and these ideologies and this lifestyle shit is just like completely in the way. It just doesn't help anybody do what I'm talking about.
Right.
Don't take
to umbrella that. I mean, Terrence just basically says like culture is not your friend, dude.
Right. And that's to me, it says subculture is not your friend either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to be myself for real. And it's like, well, myself for real would never be accepted at a death metal show, would never be accepted at a black metal show, would never be accepted at an avant-garde show. So that's really accepting truth, right? Like accepting that that's your role is to not be accepted, right? Like, I don't know.
No, I agree, dude. I definitely agree. I have nothing else to add other than my mom early on in my life told me to not be a follower, be a leader. And I don't necessarily need to be anybody following me, because I'm just saying that stuck with me. Like, just be different. Don't look at what other people are doing. Just do your thing. That's what I took it as. Pretty early too.
And even if you fail for a while, like we were failing to do anything at the Regressions level for like 4 or 5 years. We just knew that that's kind of where we were headed, but it didn't work for a long time. And at any point, if I had lost heart and like, what are we even doing? This is crazy. It's like, well, we're searching for something and we're being really maniacal about it. And it's going to take how long it takes. And it's not a fucking assembly line. You know what I mean? This notion of like your productivity equals your worth, right? Super ingrained capitalist idea. Like it's very easy to transfer that to musical growth, and it's not applicable at all. It's like assembly line's a linear task, right? Like musicians, artists are trying to 360 their shit like it's supernova. Like this is a human bullshit. Like do not bring that perspective into this sacred realm, right? Like
yeah,
it's just not acceptable. It's not going to work. And so again, culture's not your friend, because if I believe culture, My identity is what I made. My identity is what I get from what I made.
It's an avatar from your video games.
Is that? How crap is that? How stupid is that? It's not valid, right? So,
or archetypes in the Jungian language. It's all it's masks. It's all the different,
right. And even
synonyms.
It's scary to not wear a mask, and I might still be wearing a mask a little bit, and that's part of the process. That's maybe not a binary thing. But I don't want to wear a mask, and I know my goal is to not wear a mask, and my goal is to be fully myself. And subculture is absolutely in the way, and on another level, culture is even more in the way, because as soon as I buy into one aspect of our mythology, I can't even move in that space, let alone look around, let alone mold anything. You know what I mean? Like our culture is just totally out to lunch with this type of shit. Like help, and anything we think or assume that's from our culture is like crap to me. And maybe that's like too harsh, but that's just my experience. It's like I didn't get anywhere till I jettisoned assumptions that were really basic. You know what I mean?
Totally, dude. And I love how this is expressed through your music, dude. Like it's not like saying that you're predictable, but I'm just saying like, oh yeah, dude, having a conversation with this dude, of course Cleric would come out of this brain, or like of course these projects would be involved with this man, because it's just you found a good way to speak through your music, and also actually articulate it well on a podcast right now. And I'm actually wondering where the fuck all my other my co-hosts are, because it's just been me and you for the last I think they just left us, dude. They're like, all right, we're out. There they are.
Joel had a family thing come up. So.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's all good though. But yeah,
love you, Joel.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that. He just had to go. So
that's all good, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. No, dude, this is great. And
dude, it's been awesome.
Dude, so what's coming up in the near future right now for you?
Saratma is the next release. It's a coming out on August. Nefarious Industries on vinyl. That same month is the next iNFiNiEN record, Beyond the Veil. It's a full length. It's going to be a double vinyl gatefold self-release. It'll probably be out on Bandcamp. We'll probably sell it through Bandcamp. And then I am wrapping up the next Cleric's album is a 19-song, 40-minute album for John Zorn. He wrote these Bagatelles pieces. They're like 30-second heads. So we kind of made our short form record finally. Like the longest song is 3:50. There's a lot of songs under a minute, but it's just as intense as the long stuff. So I think it's going to show us in a really new light. I'm really excited about that. Because we get a reputation for like it takes years to listen to Cleric's discography, and it's funny, but like this is straight up like 2-minute songs, and so you've never heard us pace our shit like this, and there's more. And I definitely like it more than the Masada record. I think the improv's more lucid. It's also the first record we produced ourselves, so Scott Hull mastered it. Came out great. It's going to be in the box set with Osmodius, which is Mark Ribot, Grahowski, Trevor Dunn. That's another CD. Another CD is Julian Lodge and Gian Riley as an acoustic duo. And then Jim Black Trio is the fourth CD. So it's going to come out box set.
That's sick, dude. So Scott Hull, does he do
the Pig Destroyer, Scott Hull?
yeah, for sure. So I'm saying I want that's what I wanted to get into. Like, it is he just the guy who he goes to master the more metal side of his shit? Or Scott Hull?
He's just got to deal with him, and he's like Grammy winner genius dude. Like,
oh yeah.
So he just masters everything. He has a certain way he likes to master metal.
But he masters his other styles too.
What do you say?
Does he master Zorn's other?
Oh yeah, he masters all Zorn CDs because he's just got
fucking crazy, dude.
A deal with them. I like both of them equally. It depends what I'm doing. Colin mastered the Saratma, and I thought he did a better job in certain ways. And, I mean, it depends what I'm doing, I guess. Colin really gets what I'm doing, so I really try. But Scott's also amazing, and like, you know, there was some amateur rough edges on this Bagatelle's. Like, so he did a great job at like getting it to the finish line, because it was of course, like when we started, it was like a little hairy, and then like in the middle, oh, now it sounds great. By the end, it's even better. So it's just kind of all over the place because the sessions were spread out. But he mastered it just perfectly. He's a genius, and he just made it perfectly even. And so I like both of them. I feel really lucky to have both of them.
I'd love to have Colin on, dude. I've actually been recently thinking about it, like within the last couple of weeks. I'm like, I need to contact him, because he's definitely somebody who, with his extensive engineering career too, like, but just being able to, cite the whole Dark Octopus as a band seeing live, that just totally blew my mind. And just to let him know that, like, you were mentioning earlier with his war guitar skills, like that it's hypnotic watching him play that instrument, and there's so many, there's so much other talent in Behold the Octopus. I mean, I can't say anybody else's name, but the drummer was Blotted Science, right?
Oh yeah, but not anymore. He hasn't been in it.
Yeah, but he did that first record. He did that first record.
Charlie.
And then the guitar player, he did Dire Wolf. I remember that side project that he was the head at the helm of, or whatever.
It's like another band of geniuses.
Yeah, that shit's sick. Dude. I like that band.
I love all that stuff that came out of there. But Colin always tripped me out, because like that was my first actual introduction to the war guitar in general. Like seeing this instrument, and you're just like, what the fuck is this?
I feel like I saw them play with did they open for the Flying Lutenbachers one time?
Yeah, they definitely did.
Yeah, I think we saw them at the Hemlock in San Francisco.
I saw them open for Dysrhythmia, which is funny.
Dysrhythmia, that band's sick.
Yeah, I was saying that was funny, that like seeing those two bands, Colin play with Behold, and then Colin play with Dysrhythmia, and then you see those two dudes go on to Gore Guts, and you're just like, what the fuck?
That's right.
And I just recently was telling you this, Casey, was the $6 Elbow Room show, where it was $6 to get in, and it was $1 Paps, dude. It was like $15 to fucking see those bands and get shit faced.
Well, like in 03, like in West Philly, Dysrhythmia hadn't moved to New York yet, and I was just like, who are they?
Yeah.
And then it's just, again, that was like in Philly, they were the Secret Chiefs 3. That was the group that was like, you got it. Yeah. It's like, I'm looking for whoever's doing it. I'm grabbing onto them and just being like, I'm following them. Because there were people in every area, like Flying Lutenbachers was another one, right? Like, yeah. I mean, we got to open up for Mel Banana. That's a little old school, but still Mel Banana.
Still down.
They just came through or something.
Casey grew up with the grew up watching or being adjacent with the Locust guys too.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, same. Yeah, I was talking about that same whole scene. Yeah, dude.
And there's just something really satisfying just as art too. Like, it's sensory art. It hits your senses. You can hear how unique and pure it is. It just feels so satisfying. Like, these people cooperated. They got a thing together. It's like incredible. They're pulling it off. It's original. It feels good. Like, it's just so satisfying, on this visceral level. The whole thing of a good group. So I just I'm grateful to the people that I found after 2004 that made me sincere again. Because I basically was like, oh, that's what it is. I'm not doing that. That's so stupid. I can't believe that's what it. I just needed someone to show me that a band wasn't stupid. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, yeah, for sure. It's so funny because I grew up on so much of that stuff. Like, my high school was kind of a music art school, like, kind of thing, and at the time, at least. And dude, have you ever heard of Upsilon Crux?
Oh yeah, they're incredible.
That band, I saw them at UCSD in like '98 or some shit, or whatever year it was. Like, I was like freshman or whatever, dude. And we were just like, he was playing those North drums that like go all crazy out. Have you seen those? That like they're like
drums, or
was that?
Are they like Godo drums, like played on with mallets?
No. It's like a drum set, but they look like tubas, like the way that they're like designed, like they these crazy like, or like megaphones or whatever. Like they the drums like come out and then they come out all crazy.
Wow. Like, Cobham has a set of those. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, nothing satisfying in that, you know, and it's like people think it's like snobbery when you're like, I don't like the LARPy shit. I don't like black metal bands. Fuck you if you're gonna just tell me what kind of band you are, like, and it's this genre, like, I probably won't like it. So they think it's like snobby. It's like, it's not snobby. It's not. It's like if you just approach it the right way, I probably like it. You know what I mean? I just don't like redundancy. That's really what it is. Like, don't be redundant. I heard this before. Like, who needs another black metal band in 2022? Like, seriously, you know, and people love that shit. It's so popular, but like, it's a passing thing. I mean, I saw everyone try to copy Converge, then Botch, then Neurosis, then Isis, then Meshuggah, then Periphery, then Animals as Leaders. You know what I mean? It's always something. So like, what's getting beyond that linear track? Like, what's above it that just exists, right? Like, that's Upsilon. Yeah. That's like Keodot. That's Zorn. That's not like no one's doing it, but it is like those people do that, and these other don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I agree, dude.
It was weird. I my high school was like all just filled with these really artsy, like just super indie prog crazy bands and all kinds of stuff. And it was like, for me, it was like normal. I was like, everyone grew into high school like this, right? Like that was like a normal, but it's just
like, because I had like wanted like play guitar. We half related, and I like Dust, and then it was like there was nothing for me really. But,
no, totally, dude. And like, oh man, do you know the band Physics? You ever heard that band?
No.
You should check out. You like Physics? That shit's really cool. Yeah, I think they're a San Diego-based band, but they have Physics 1 and Physics 2. Those are like their main releases that were like come out in like the 90s, and then they just put out another one like kind of recently, which is Physics like 1 and 2 are the classics, and then there's like the
instrumental. Oh
yeah, dude, that stuff's really cool. It's like, it's really interesting. It's but they're part of that whole scene like down here and stuff, and that was the cool thing. Like even back in the day, like I remember seeing, you know, like the Locust play, and then, you know, Cattle Decapitation, you know, playing after them before they were known as a metal band or touring or doing anything. Like it was just like, who is this band all of a sudden? And like I mean, it was like you'd go see, you know, Converge and, you know, Neurosis and all these bands, or you'd go see, you know, the Locust, Cattle Decapitation, and you'd see metal bands, you'd see experimental bands, you'd see like everyone like come just together in this like, and it was like all about like the, I don't know, like the art of it was really cool too, you know. But of course, you know, scenes, yeah, you know, there's always an image that grows in scenes, and that's another thing. It's funny, you know, you made some funny points and good points about that tonight. But yeah, I don't know, it's funny because you're talking about all this stuff, and I'm like, damn, it's funny. That's like I grew up on that stuff, and to me, it's so normal. Like it's like, oh, dude, like that was what it was all about. It's just like in high school, like all my friends was like, oh yeah, dude, just prog, like, you know, fucking King Crimson, Rush, you know, Yes, and all this old, and then all the, you know, just all the bands I just mentioned and all that. I don't know, it's I love that music, dude. Like I still listen to that, you know.
Totally. Cool. And it's interesting because even if like there's bands in, like, I don't think Black Sabbath is particularly LARPy, but like actual metal boards of doom, it's like, all right, bro, like every riff is like Black Sabbath. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not unfair at all. It might be a little slower, but I'm sorry, Dominant 7, like Holding on Halftime, it's fucking Black Sabbath, the tone, everything. You know,
I have a question I'm afraid to ask you. What do you think about Iron Maiden?
I like Iron Maiden. I mean, here's the thing. It's not my thing for sure, but I respect it because I know, you know, in the quarantine, I got more into like the big rock bands and how they do their shit because I don't do that, and I don't think it's going to happen for me. And I also just kind of, it's exciting. It's like, whoa, look at that, you know. And that's looking on how like Metallica created their first few records, and it's like walking about like Ride the Lightning and like,
dude, it's all about Cliff, dude.
Like Fleming Rasmussen like produced their sound. He like set up their whole shit for them. Like Lars didn't even know like what an upbeat was. He had to like get them to play. He couldn't hold the time with the thrash beat. So I just really like interested in like, oh, this Fleming Rasmussen dude, like no one really knows him, but he kind of like created Metallica in the studio and then wrote his shit. I mean, they also wrote their songs, but they couldn't play them well enough, and they couldn't produce themselves. So I forget what did this even relate to? Oh, Iron Maiden. So I was watching Iron Maiden, and it seems like their show is basically the best rock show there is, as far as I gather. it seems like that's like the best rock show. So I'm gonna go see them when they come around again.
I got tickets.
Everything, because I never saw them. And like, yeah, it's like if I'm being honest, like that riffing style is not my thing or what I relate to.
Sure, yeah.
I don't feel, it's like you got to respect a band that's been together that long and still just dominates. Probably, I mean, they're probably like put on a better show than Metallica, get more people out. They're like more sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of amazing when you think about it like that. It's like, I mean, it seems like it's more functional than the Rolling Stones or like most bands ever existed. So on that tip of like, keep a band together, put on an unbelievable show, just kill it, not judging it as like, is it creative? Is it risky? Is it lucid? Like all the shit, like forget about that. Iron Maiden's basically a perfect band. And their rhythm section's absurd. I mean, period. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I don't like, it's not my favorite kind of grooves, but you can't deny the rhythm section. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, totally, dude. Yeah, good point.
Definitely more like gatekeepy dork in my 20s, like fuck Iron Maiden.
Totally, dude. That's great.
Joseph, dude.
This has been a real like 180 from last night when I opened for Rings of Saturn.
Oh, for Rings of Saturn? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like live. I hear so many mixed things.
They change a lot, and they have a lineup now that they're doing the new instrumental album that just came out.
Instrumental.
Yeah, it's all instrumental now. But we were the local opener on a 5-band bill. I'm sure every band used to click, including us, of course. Every band was like, LARPing, I guess. That's the first time I ever used that word.
I love it, dude.
Including us. But we were LARPing as we were. I'm gonna try this. We were LARPing as old Rings of Saturn that people wanted to see, who they didn't get to see. And we killed it, and it was a fun show. Anthony's dying. I love it. But yeah, dude, it was like there was not a single note improvised all night except for my drum fills that I fucked up. And it was funny because when you're in that zone of like, here's our audience, we're gonna fucking hit this market, blah blah. You don't think about like the artistic decisions that you're long ago have been set in that led you there. You're just like, this is the goal. But I don't know.
So you're basically saying you're the anti-Matt right now.
Well,
I'm opposite the duality of that.
It's not really.
I didn't have. Yeah.
In a way,
I didn't have time to think about a lot of this stuff because I'm just like, I love being in this tech death world and it's fun. But then a week before, I played that Litha Cascadia Fest, and that was like pagan Cascadian black metal and folk music stuff. And one of the Bellwitch guys was there, by the way. He was rad. But so I've had like a lot of different aspects of my worldview or music world, like kind of intersecting, but not bringing the avant-garde, not bringing the New York stuff in. Now it's like, whoa, I forgot that there's this whole thing. So it's very refreshing to be.
But I will say Joseph has done some great improvisation that I've seen with Casey,
I love it
too. Like I
was going to talk about it.
I want to say that like there's this one video. I don't even remember what it was. I think it was the first time I ever saw Joseph on video, and Joseph was playing saxophone.
Yeah.
To
Diego Sanchez on guitar.
But we should
on guitar.
We should talk about that, but we should let Matt respond to what you just said. Though.
Oh, did we all...
And we're kind of talking over him. Let Matt respond.
To what? I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you wanted to say. I'm sorry if you didn't want to talk. Okay, never mind. But yeah, Joseph and I did this improv death metal shit that kind of came about as like just kind of by chance, and we've actually done it a few times, and it's been pretty rad. Like also with our friend Diego from Discourage. It's actually I was all about it. I was like, dude, we should start this only improv death metal project or whatever. But we also add others. It's not just death metal. It's like saxophone, like Anthony just said.
Yeah,
so, that
it's fun as fuck.
Project
Incenithrac.
Yeah, that's like crazy, dude. Oh my
That's just fucking that's just nuts.
pushing everyone. That's like poking people who are like, "This
Oh,
is
sick.
Okay,
like-
so wait, you gotta explain this to me. What is it?
it's this fucking." I mean, I don't even. That's one of those bands. Like, I don't think I could even start to explain it. Like, you just kind of gotta listen
Who's
to how
involved?
crazy it is. It's Walter Marston and 3 other like death metal dudes that I'm spacing on their names. I'm sorry because I'm not.
Is it improv?
Everyone.
Yeah, it's all improv.
All improv. Okay.
It's
Cool.
like it's like the most extreme thing I've ever, and it's all like
Sick.
pig squeal vocals, like with
Yeah.
the gurgling and shit. It's like fucking crazy, dude.
True.
I think it's one of the favorite things Colin's done, honestly. Like it's one of the most extreme things I've ever heard, and whether it's a joke or not, is kind of like it's like you can't figure out if
Everybody's done a version of it in the studio while they're in between songs, or we're just gonna come out here and jam out, and everybody had that one little spark. We were talking about it earlier, where y'all did something together that was actually like, whoa, that's what you're chasing, dude.
yeah. And if everyone feels it and looks around, that's all actually now back to like what we were talking about with ayahuasca, where it's like some people see the same thing. The whole group is a hallucination. So like we can't
hallucinations. Yep.
mind is it, motherfucker. You don't know what you're saying. That's your brain. No. Like you don't know either. We don't have charts of these realms. We don't know shit about them because we just put them out of our head. That doesn't mean they don't exist. You know what I mean? Like we don't know that's like, and that's the best part.
And we all physically look around the room while we're in there like, holy shit, we all understand that we caught this wave together. And now let's see how long we can ride it together and maybe, use ourselves together to make it to where we can ride this wave longer and,
Totally. Now, I just say about Rings of Saturn, the reason I was laughing about that is because this is another thing about this age that I think is really funny. I've noticed that like no one reacts to music reviews, period, good or bad, unless it's a virally, like if it's so bad that it's funny and then it goes viral, that's the only time anyone's checking out a review. So it's almost like a formality to me. But what I do notice is like one of the most like at least in 2021, one of the most talked about rock stories of the year, and I know nothing was really going on, was Trapped shit posting on fucking Twitter, right? Like that's what talked about, and everyone went on Twitter and shit posted on the Trapped page and got that doofus to say something, right? Like it's like this is the most talked about story in rock music for the period. So it gets this fucking dark shit where I'm just like, people aren't even following this for music. Like, I'm pretty sure the way I could get more Cleric fans is to go on Behold the Octopus and Krause's page and Imperial's page and be like, listen, little bitch, your music sucks. Cleric shits out better songs every day. Fuck you. And then have just more online. I will get the entire music scene following me in one day. But like, fuck everything in a way. I mean, because that's clearly what's happening, and nothing like extreme language, decibel, and metal injection can come up with can like make up that difference of like, no, bro, trust me, this time it is the most extreme record you've ever heard. This time it is. No, I'll hold the football, run towards it. No, like that's what's happening. So like, I don't like that shit gets really annoying because I realize like, so wait a second, it doesn't matter how crazy I am artistically. That doesn't matter. It matters like how much gall do you have online to like shit talk and be like a personality. So like the Rings of Saturn thing, right? Remember he made that post like, there's not a better guitarist young, like I'm the best young guitarist in this genre, period. I think he said best young. I think he said best guitarist, period, in tech death, period. Like, and he stated it as like the alpha male. And like, it went around the entire fucking world, dude. And it's just like, this is how this game works. This is insane. Or like I'm sorry, this is related to John Frum, like tangentially, but like the Faceless drums, right? Like I followed all that shit. Anytime they got any traffic was when he was having like a fucking meltdown. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is how this fucking game works. This is crazy, dude. Like I'm not gonna sit here and sound like Jimi Hendrix and get even 3 people to watch. But I'm like, this motherfucker, like real hardcore, and everyone. You know what I mean?
It's real ape. It's still ape shit, dude.
messing with all of our lives, man.
Stoned ape. We need that stoned ape theory.
Yeah.
Rings of Saturn really has like eroded the distinction between a band and a brand.
And
They're kind of like in a meme. They're like a clothing line with representatives who play guitar that aren't always even the main people. Sometimes he's hired other people to go on tour and play music that they wrote, but under his name. It is a very weird.
Well, that's
like,
been going on for. I mean, that's what we used to say.
He doesn't even go on tour sometimes, right?
Yeah, he was there last night. He played. So the new album is kind of more his project, but in the past it's been other people playing under his band's name. So he's like kind of like a manager plus occasional, songwriter and stuff. But
well, I mean, it's someone like that, and again, like Lars Ulrich or something is like, you know what? Like, I can't do that. And like, I kind of got to a point. You guys might think this is funny. I love the shit out of Trailer Park Boys. It's like one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh yeah.
And there was one time where I like binged Trailer Park Boys like multiple seasons, and then watched Some Kind of Monster, and I realized we were all just like versions of those characters. Like I realized like Lars was Julian, and was Ricky, and Kurt was Corey, and like Rock was Leahy, and like their manager, like the metal blade dude is like Randy, with the stomach, and it just made so much fucking sense. And then I saw Lars as like, whoa, he's like Dr. Dre of metal, basically. Like he just pushed this entire fucking thing, like just raw hustle. And like, yeah, I'm not enamored with his drumming. I get all the criticisms, but like, John Longstreth, Origin, like we used to go out drinking, and he's like, the thing about Lars, man, like you just know it's him like as soon as you hear his hi-hat, and you got to just be like, that's hard to do. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Like he's not like the best, but you think about his hustle, and then the fact that you just know it's him every time,
and Justice for All came to me at an age where I was pretty young, and I had not heard too much drumming like that other than like Cowboys from Hell. But like for some reason, and Justice for All was like the pinnacle for just a little bit in my life. I just had to be exposed, but like the Seeds and Justice for All was the first Metallica CD that I put in the CD player to listen to.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's the thing to go with the Rings of Saturn and Lars's personality. It's super like alpha cokehead. Like I'm the fucking main man at the party. Like it doesn't matter what I actually am because I'm coming on that strong. And anyone that's able to do that definitely does well in this environment.
Right.
Do you think it goes back to Kiss and Gene Simmons?
Yes, 100%. That's a great point. It does go back to him because that's like he's like the Donald Trump of rock music, basically.
Have you seen that hat he's been wearing with the money bags on it, like in the commercials? Oh, dude, I used to laugh when I saw that.
It's like I turned into that fucking meme with Thanos, and Thanos is the boomer, and the other one's the millennial. It's like I don't even know you. That like that's what happened with Gene Simmons. I was just like, I'm gonna fucking kill that guy.
Yeah.
He's talk about a bloviating nitwit, fucking doofus. Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me that all these personalities, like fevered egos, like Bill Hicks used to say, like they like it does well. If you go online and you're like, I'm the fucking man, bitch. It's like, yo, it's gonna work. What the hell?
Yeah, just never stop saying that.
Like Kanye style or whatever.
Yeah, it works, dude. People love it.
Just never say the other thing. Just always say that, and then you'll get there.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's not true. Just say
Fake
it
it
anyway.
till you make it, dude. I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
walk the walk, flip the flop, dude.
Goes back to the LARPing starter kit, right? Like, if everyone else getting away with it, why can't I get away with it? This idiot can do it. Just all this culture is that way, right? It's just like, who's the biggest dick? Oh, they're the strongest one. It's like, no.
Alpha shit, dude. It's all,
Is the strongest one, you fucking idiot. Not the sociopath. We're so collectively like Stockholm syndrome with that. Like sociopaths, man. That's just be a sociopath. Everything will work out. It's like, well, now you can't cooperate. You can't even have a friend. You can't be anyone's friend, right? Is that real strength? No, it's not. No, it's not. That's some fucking that backwards version of strength. That's like our convoluted cooperation is strength. right? Like support is strength, kindness is strength, empathy is strength. This is the opposite of what we all believe. Like, and that social media thing proves that, because who gets farthest in social media? The biggest troll, the biggest sociopath, the biggest loudmouth, the one that's willing to have the least amount of shame, that gets traffic. And that's partially the algorithm, but it's also the algorithms just reinforcing how we all are, right?
Yeah, dude. It's all strategic. It's all bullshit. So this is the thing, dude. Like, let's understand that that's the situation now. Let's fucking know how to shield ourselves from it as much as we can, and fucking listen to good music, and fucking and love our people, love our anybody in our vicinity. Just fucking be positive, dude. Listen to great music. Like, this is where I'm at, dude. Like, I understand, like, be aware of all of that too, but like, don't
Positive is the important thing. You're right.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, I understand that. Like, I know that there's deep, dark clouds that are always waiting to come over that mountain in the valley that you're waiting in, dude. But it's like, no matter what, like, what else have we got but the people that we're around?
That's all we got.
The people that we love, and the art, and the other aspects of life that we love, and you just hoard it like a little chipmunk, dude, and find your little spot to fucking bury it, and hopefully no other motherfuckers are gonna fuck with your stash, dude. You know?
And positivity is a big part of that fortress of, like, that's gonna be helping all those things. Like you're totally right. Even with everything I said, it's like, yeah, well, positivity is still the answer. I mean,
it is, dude. And I feel it through your music too. I know when we're talking about tension, like, and release and stuff like that, like, there's so much release in your music, and Zorn and all this stuff. Like, there's so much tension, but it's like, there is this release. You need to pay attention to the release, because no matter what, like, we're gonna feel the tension from existence. You know, it's an everyday thing that's always gonna happen. So this is a reminder of, here's the tension, but also a reminder of release. Like, you can, if you have control and you get your shit together, you can release and have control over, at least in the moment. That's all it is, in the moment. What else is everything except for the present?
That is everything. And the positive present. Like being positive is embracing the true possibility of the present. Even if the world is on fire around you, the positivity can transcend that.
You find something, dude.
It helps you see clearer. You can see everything as opposed to only one side. Whereas, like, negativity is always one side, whereas positivity is always everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's something I've just learned very recently, because I've been really struggling the last few months, and I did start to, just get really dark feelings that I didn't know what to deal with. I didn't know how to deal with them, because it was like I'd never gotten that dark before, and it just made it more dire to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
It made it like survival. It's like, because it is survival. Like, you have to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I understood that for a long time. Maybe I'm addicted to the feeling of negativity, right? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, I could agree. I can get into that moment where it's like, oh, I really enjoy sad music, or I tend to lean on the negative aspects of my life versus the positive aspects. But I mean, you do it. It's an ebb and flow thing, guys. It's not like you can't just be in one thing. Like, like, finding homeostasis is the path, and whether you're conscious or subconscious of it, you're finding homeostasis. Well, how are you going to find homeostasis? You need to see the one side of the thing and the other side of the thing, and how am I going to middle that, and so feeling feeling the bad is what tells you what is good, and vice versa. Like,
Yeah.
you're feeling too much good, I'm sorry, you're gonna catch some bad, because you need to be reminded of why you're feeling good.
Yeah, you're so right about that, and that's the danger of dissociation. And the American dream is kind of dissociation, right? Like the ultimate is to never work, be in your place, just fucking like as many drugs and alcohol as you want, as much money as you want. The world can't touch you. You're separate finally, right?
Mhm.
Like that's so fucked up. That's our ideal. Like I'm not saying it's everyone's, but that's like our like generic ideal, right? Is like I don't even need to talk to anybody anymore. I'm separate. It's like that's pretty interesting that that's our ideal, is to be totally separate, right? Like I find
Right.
that really interesting, because it's like, like that's not a real relationship with reality. You're dissociated, right?
No.
Like, and then you're projecting that dissociation outward as a mythology and telling everyone else to buy into it like it's religion or something. It's like, yeah, it's pretty fucking stupid when you break it down. Our ideals, our generic mainstream ideals, are not respectable because they're self-serving and petty, right? So it's like, what I'd like to do is serve something better than myself with people I love and cooperate for real, not
Yeah.
undercut them. And like, I'm not even capable of being a friend, someone who's totally achieved the American dream and is like on a cloud of their own privilege and wealth and all that, is like, I don't think they're capable of friendship. I really don't. I think they're only capable of taking advantage and getting away with stuff. So I'm just looking for friends for real.
Right.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. I think we're just done with the psychic like weight of trying to interact that way. Is exhausting because it's all transactional and it's all based on manipulation and trying to fool people. And I really don't like that. That's what I'm trying to bring to the table, as a sincerity, that's like showing people that everyone is sincere. We're just choosing not to be,
Mm-hmm.
But
and just to be about your immediate community. It's like building it more into back into village mentality. Like,
yeah,
I have a family. My brother has a family. We're close knit. I have a best friend who he has a family. We're close knit. Like, everybody is like a community. Like, we're a small little village, and that may be called a bubble in this society now. But if we reel back the fucking tape, guys, we were villages back in the day, and everybody used villages to expand
right.
and grow, because that was the only way that they could expand and grow, is if everybody was a team.
Right. And that's really true. And definitely with music or art, I think music scenes specifically, it's like everyone trying to undercut each other and talking shit and trying to compete each other along this linear line. It's like, you guys are just wasting fucking time. You could all be equally good. Just stop undercutting each other. Stop playing the same game in the same way, and you won't even compete. There's no competing if you do this the real way. It's a circle, not a fucking pyramid. I feel like a lot of musicians just get twisted up like that. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to dominate.
Just art in general. Like,
I want to be the winner. And it's like, that's a pyramid. It's not a circle. Your whole conception is strange, right? Like
all our favorite artists probably, like you were saying, don't even give a fuck what other people are doing. They're too busy doing what they're doing. They don't have time to think about other people.
Definitely.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, we lost Casey too. All right, I guess we're over 3 hours now, dude.
That flew by, Jesus.
Dude, I've been having so much fun, and I feel like I could do multiple shows with you, Matt, dude. I think me and you could fucking do a back and forth for a while.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do another one.
Yeah, dude. Please, you have an open invitation, dude. As soon as we can get you in, you can come right back, dude.
I'll bring someone else from Cleric next time.
Yeah, dude. I'd like to hear a backstory of one of those other guys, because man, anybody who's involved in that project, I my ears perk up. I'm intrigued, dude. My antennas. I need to hear everything, dude.
Nice, man. Oh yeah.
Well, cool. Matt, please plug all your shit again, dude, for anybody who's been hanging in here for this long.
With us, Cleric is on Web of Mimicry, so go on Web of Mimicry's website, you'll find us. We have 2 original records, and then we have a Masada record for Zorn, and we have another record for Zorn coming out in a box set in September. And then iNFiNiEN has a vinyl out in August, and we have 5 records on Bandcamp you can check out. Shardik is my instrumental trio group that I write the music for. It's not collaborative, it's all my own stuff, and that's on Sadiq. You can get that on Amazon or Sadiq website. And then John Frum is working on new stuff, and we're going to record next year the next record, and the first record is on Relapse Records. You can check out that record, that band's with Derek from the Faceless and Liam from Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah, dude. We didn't even get into that, man. You got so much to talk about, dude.
And then Saratma is the Nefarious Industries release this August, and yeah, man, about to record the next Titan Attack Tachyons record with Trevor Dunn. It's 2 bass project.
You didn't even mention that name, and that's the name that I knew about too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm recording like 4 records in the next week.
Guy, dude.
That's how New York is, you know. Like if you move here, you just go for it.
That's how things move over there, huh?
So I'm getting more into the free improv scene up here. Just you go in and you record, you have no plan, and it's all improv. One of my favorite recordings, this is now not creative music, improv music, but I got to record with the drummer Tyshawn Sori in March. He's a MacArthur fellow, and this wonderful saxophonist from Tennessee, Zoe Amba. She's incredible. And Micah Thomas. And that record's going to come out in August, but that's like a fully improv, like 20-minute track. But it's one of my favorite things I've been on. So yeah, a lot of stuff to just, you know, if you search my name, guitar, and then just associate it with Sadiq or Mimicry or New York, a lot of the recent stuff comes up. And then if you just go on Discogs, it has everything in order. You know, that's it.
Dude, Matt, what are your Sunday schedules like? Because I feel like I need to have just like a back and forth with you soon, dude.
Oh, yeah.
We could do a bonus episode where in your near future.
Yeah, I'm sure people want another 7 hours, right, guys?
Oh, I could do it, dude. I'm saying like me and you, like fucking let's one-on-one do our thing, dude. It doesn't have to be soon, but I'm saying if it'd be like a bonus episode thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe when that Bagatelles comes out in the fall.
Okay.
Cleric CD.
That's not far away. We can do that.
But yeah, just trying to hit it hard.
Yeah, dude, you definitely hitting it hard, dude.
You're about to get a job, like a normal job. So just keep that as a caveat. Like I'm not up here in the clouds. I'm like, it's every day figuring out how to like not go broke doing this. So
starving musician.
Yes,
that's classic.
Fully irritating and romantic.
Yeah. But I mean, it's what kind of gives you. There's a part of that gives you your character, dude.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, I'm trying to follow the people that I respect and do exactly what they did, and all the people through this podcast. It's like I wouldn't know what to do if they hadn't have done what they did. So I'm trying to do the same thing for whoever comes after me.
Totally, right? Dude. And I think that you're a great inspiration, dude. I think that there's definitely somebody who's going to listen to this right now and be like, what the fuck am I doing, dude? And pick up and take off on their little fucking split off of the path that they've been on, dude, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. And
we appreciate you, dude. Definitely, dude. And please keep Matt Hollenberg's name in your mind. Go Google that shit if you're not going to do it right after you listen to this. Go
Hell yeah.
and check out everything this dude's about. I am not joking. I enjoy every fucking thing that this man's done.
Thank you, sir.
Right on, dude. And with us, it's Cali Death Podcast.bigcartel.com. Go get yourself a shirt. It's getting low in inventory.
I need a shirt.
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
And battleforgecoffee.com. Got one of those bad boys recently, dude. Go
Nice.
check that out. Get fucking forged for battle. And yeah, have a great rest of your week, guys. Matt, hang out just for a couple more minutes with us real quick, and we'll wrap this up. Love you guys, and we'll be here next week. No breaks anymore for a little bit. Love you.